Yo, hope you all doing well. Hello to you. Um, uh, if you're there, out there, we got one person. Okay, we got one black person around, which is great. You guys know that that's not usual. When I turn on the stream on a Thursday, that we'll have any of our guests around. I wonder why. It's just Thursday. She's gonna be something about that. Anyway, here we go. Hey, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I didn't know if you were talking to Chad or me.
Oh, yeah. I just complain about black people, so my usual thing. Yeah, how you doing?
Pretty good. I think you forgot the StreamYard link.
Oh,
Unless
I
you
did
were using it
actually.
today.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry. I did do that. Unfortunate.
Everyone has their off days except me.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
But it's literally the same link every time. So it's the
you can go
same.
back to the old ones?
Yeah, it's the same one.
Really?
Never changed.
Wow. Tell me something new.
Yeah.
Huh. So is this like a space that always just exists?
Yes. Yeah.
Like if you had to think of this like a portal dimension, this would be like your portal dimension?
Sort of like that. The StreamYards, they give you the option to like change and go to make a new link and to create a different room every time. And which I did when I first started using it, but I realized I don't know, there's no reason to generate a new one every time. And so I just started using the same one. I just copy and paste that message with that same link every time. So if you go back to the past ones, same thing every time.
Huh. Learn something new every day, I guess.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. You do anything interesting today?
Do I do anything interesting today?
Some more juice?
Oh.
That shit hella
No.
bright.
Yeah, sorry. As usual.
I thought you loved orange juice.
Did you ask?
Oh yeah, well, it was a two-parter. I said you did anything interesting. I was like, you drink any orange juice today?
Oh, did I drink anything interesting?
Well, no, you answered the correct question, but it was like a second parter too.
Okay, yeah, I do love orange juice. I didn't have any today, but like I really have like a few gallons of it in the kitchen.
A few gallons.
Yeah, I mean yeah.
You can't buy
like 3
1 gallon to get by. You need like multiple.
Multiple, or I'm gonna run out like very quickly. I love it so much. You don't even know, man.
What up, Solus?
You like Pope?
Yeah, I'm good. But I'm fucking with my thing. It says it's on, but it's not. I don't know. You can see me, right?
Yeah, we see you.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Prime, you like eat Pope, no Pope, some Pope? Which
God, I'm not a fucking terrorist. Terrorist like Pulp, no, this is no Pulp, obviously.
I think it's crazy. Some people get like extra pulp. I'm like, that's like
what
that should immediately put you in like an insane asylum. Like
yeah.
Whenever you
they just put you in cuffs at the checkout.
It's like we got him. We got another one.
It would. I'm sure you could connect like every like insane person in society.
Yeah.
Like
based on
the like extra pulp. It's crazy.
The science checks out actually.
Yeah.
1-to-1.
But I have a friend who is a dietitian. And you're supposed to call them dietitians, not nutritionists, because they get really upset about that. But just like FYI, because they really will. There'll be a lecture for you coming up if you mix it up. And dietitian is like the certified version, right? The one that works in hospitals and stuff. Anyway, a friend of mine, and she's also like a good cook, right? 'Cause before she did that, she was like a cook type thing. And I was asking her for like nutritional advice. She's like, all right, well, what do you eat? And I told her, she's like, well, okay, first of all, you eat like a child. And so we have to like work around that. I like French fries and like chicken nuggets and an orange juice and they're like like mashed potatoes, simple things. That's what I love. I don't like anything fancy. Like for the rest of my life, I will be very happy eating those basic shit. I love it so much. And it's interesting how some people react to that.
You know,
I heard little Yachty only eats like pizza. So
I mean, he has a pizza brand. It's probably like not true. He probably likes pizza a lot, but once you like invest in a pizza brand, it's probably good for the brand to like claim it. Like, oh yeah, like actually, this is the only thing I eat.
that makes a lot of
when
sense.
you're rich,
Actually,
you can kind of just. I mean, when you can afford to, like, have an infrastructure to just change your body type whenever the fuck you want. Like if Lil Yachty ate pizza for an entire year and gained 100 pounds, he also has the money to go get a nutritionist and a trainer. So it's like,
yeah, you can kind of you can live in another like fucking reality.
yeah, you
With
can,
enough
you're
bread.
living like a My Career character. Like you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expensive, but I mean,
I heard
Drake
this.
did it.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're waiting, because Bam has failed me once again. Right, it's a thing they love to do. Are you watching well, we'll say 3. Are you 3 watching X-Men 97?
Or do you like?
I am.
What do you like?
Oh
Woman's
yeah,
crazy?
yeah, I am too.
No.
Oh
Nah.
yeah, there you go. Real Negroes here.
So what do we want to talk about in terms
no,
of X-Men Prime?
we can't talk about
Oh, we
it.
can't?
We can't right now. Come on.
Okay, all right.
did
We're not
you
gonna
guys-
nerd out. We're not gonna
Especially
that's
if
one
you
time
guys saw the
okay.
latest episode. You can't be
Oh, I
talking
didn't.
about it. Oh yeah,
Okay.
it
All
is
right. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
the episode, and it's blown up online.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
fantastic. So I'm just like, I mean, we can talk about it later on.
Yeah.
When we kick out the nerds here, right?
But Prime, can we just say Lucci versus Luffy?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
That was amazing. That was the animation.
It's not over, and it's not over.
The animation was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice.
I don't know what happened. Like, did someone somewhere made a decision, like, and they said, you know what? Like, we know we're like the last of this long form, weekly anime thing. We know but like, let's just be better than everybody else in animation too. Like,
yeah.
Because that was the thing that One Piece fans like we just settled for. We accepted like, okay, our fights, our animation is kind of whatever, but it's about the story. You know what I'm saying? We care about the story. And then
now we
somebody
have the
decided like, nah, actually, we're gonna go crazy. We're gonna go nuts. So every fight.
Want to know why? Because we invested, bro, and that means that they got mad bread to spend, bro. And it's all there, 1,000 episodes worth of it.
That's too much investment, G. Like you can't escape, can you?
You don't want to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Y'all stop waiting for the elevator to come, bro. Like you should take the stairs, bro.
Whenever it ends, it won't be long enough. That's what I'll say.
Yep,
Whenever
that'll
there literally will be like, God, like there's some other stuff they could have went into.
You know, One Piece is the power of friendship. You know.
This not.
Oh my God! Don't, I mean, get out of here, man. Like,
Don't do it.
Don't ruin yourself here.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
it's
still have a
definitely
chance to
not
build a
that.
Listen. Don't do it.
Oda
Okay.
made it very clear
Don't put a
that it's
bait, bro.
not the
Don't go for
case.
the bait.
It's not the
Real talk,
case.
it's
It's actually a
real
real
talk,
thing.
more than likely what the One Piece is a very specific almost time weapon that will erase the genealogy of the Celestial
I'm
Dragon.
pretty sure it's a poem. It's something
something along those lines.
But
I don't know why you
let
say
me
almost
just-
certainly, but I mean, sure.
I'm gonna give you props right now, Razor.
It's like
Yeah.
Almost.
that's
certain.
like
You should
yes,
have faded,
but
bro.
no.
You have you've got good features. Like no Diddy. You got a good
Please don't let that be a thing
jawline.
now.
You got if you get a nice little edge up, you got the height on you, bro. We could work.
Razor,
we can
Razor's a
put
handsome
two
guy. No, Razor's a
Razor's-
handsome guy.
yeah, Razor got a
no,
girl.
Bam keep trying to make niggas look like niggas.
Like-
Stop it, G. Just let it go, gang. It'll
Yeah.
never happen, Chief.
I
It'll
see the
never
nigga in
happen.
him. I see the nigga in him.
I'm trying to bring it.
Yes,
I'm trying to bring her.
I've gotten fades, I've gotten waves, I've gotten like
You've
just
been
straight
waving?
lineups like this. Yes, I
You
have had
done,
waves.
you done had your do rag on tight.
Mhm.
My boy. Learn something
Bam is like a proud father, bro.
I just seen it. I was because when he first came out, I was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "Oh, boy, Razor."
Razor's been razoring this entire time, and like you missed the magic. Yeah, he's a handsome guy. Yeah.
I'm telling you, like I said, I see the potential in you boys. I'm still coming for you, bro. Like this is it.
Oh,
This you got
Oh.
this is the right thing. You're there. Do that. Just keep it edged up.
I had a do
Rock the
rag going to
goatee.
a show, but I can't seem to find it.
It's all right. I believe you.
100% not going to do that.
I
But
have like three.
yeah.
All right.
but I can't find them
All
right
right, yeah. Let's just have a conversation. Y'all have been here. Well, everybody except
Let
for
me-
Paris
let me ask
has
him.
been here enough to see different versions of Prime. What is the best version of Prime? It's Prime, like facial hair wise. It's the goatee, right?
Huh.
The like clean shaven, not really it.
The
I mean,
last time
I've never
Prime
seen
had a
him with just the
goatee,
mustache.
I said he looked like CJ from San Andreas, and he got mad at me.
What's wrong with that?
That's what you said.
That's what I said. I was like, it's not even a diss. I'm saying you
I
look
was
like a
gonna wear
classic
my- I
video
was gonna
game
wear my
character.
black wig, but it's still like too dirty. I need to actually.
Please don't
clean
put a wig
it.
on that for the love of
Mm.
Jesus Christ and all that holy.
He's
Don't
gonna
do
do
that
it.
to our ancestors.
You
I
can't
Put a wig
like,
on,
I
Razor.
like long
Put a wig
hair.
on, Razor.
That's part of razoring is having a wig on.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's
Either
just
way.
that's what it is, man. I'm
I
sorry.
already said
You
a
have to
gimmick
accept
I
that.
want for my a gimmick I want for my channel is like when I get affiliate and I have channel points and stuff. Like there's gonna be a channel point thing that I'm gonna call wig out. Someone will do the channel points and it will force me to change my wig. I'm
Razor,
gonna have
Razor,
like
He's
five,
pretty
five
smart.
wigs.
Razor. I want you to know that I
Can they
love
pick
and
the
I
wig
accept you the way that you are. Okay, all right. So just I want you to know
I
that.
didn't even see the
That
shadow.
feels
I bet,
insulting.
what's crazy is I bet Razor could probably grow a beard. I see the shadow.
I
You could probably wear
I
fake beards too.
I can, but it doesn't connect to this, so
Hmm.
I don't like it. It doesn't. It never connects.
Yo, don't let anybody tell you
Wait,
that.
so it's just a chin
not worth
strap?
having
You
a
don't have
beard.
like the mustache and
Why
beard
are we-
combo?
No, I get like I get
You're
I
going
get the
so
full-
hard on
I
the
get
Diddy,
full
bro.
thing-
That's-
I get the
that's-
full thing around
Just
there,
the chin
it's
strap is
full
crazy.
there. I have the small bit there, but then then I have this, but it never connects for a goatee. I have stubble. I have like stubble to where you can tell there's something there, but it doesn't want to go full hog on that. I
Michael B.
just
Jordan
can't.
could do that. That's all right. Everybody ain't got to connect there. You don't need it to.
That's
Yeah,
true,
because
man.
you
It
can
doesn't
go
need to
full
connect.
mustache if you want to.
I know.
could.
I hate the look, so I prefer to be clean shaven. Hell, I'm probably gonna save up money to get laser hair removal to get rid of it entirely. I don't want facial hair.
What? Really?
God just be blessing the wrong people.
You could look like Lando, bro. You look like Lando.
Could have
Like,
went to the
I just-
league. What the fuck
I
are you
Like
would
for
talking
real.
about?
Like you could have like when
You
I
could've been
when
Lando?
people talk about like don't get me wrong, I'm sure you do well. I'm sure you love your girlfriend. You know, I hope if she's watching.
Nothing
she
good
just-
ever
She
follows.
just needs to know at
Yeah, I
any
know,
point in
right?
time,
But-
like the Razor under the right circumstances could have been on some hoes. And I see it. I just see it with you.
I'm
You
on
still
ten
can.
Five with a little,
just-
with a little bit of
just-
facial
He
hair.
just missed it.
You got the
Nah.
strong chin.
What do you mean?
Nah,
Why can't he do it right now?
Just
Nah.
and make sure she keep that in mind. She got checked. Just say her sometimes. Like whenever you get crazy, you know I could
What?
be what I could be doing right now. You know how many hoes I can have?
Nah,
Like I
damn.
love you.
Oh, I never have to say that. She tells me that, and I'm weirded
Ah.
out by it. I'm like, what the hell? Why? Why are you
That's
saying this?
funny.
I know they're like unironically, I have people who follow me on Twitter and people who follow her as well who are constantly complimenting me or talking about me, and it's just like they know that I'm in a relationship with her, but they are just like, but if I was like, no.
They
Stop.
be
They're trying to
sliding her
snatch your way,
DM,
bro.
tell her like
Trying to
you
get
better not
you
f up,
to,
sis.
yeah.
I'm coming for it. That's crazy. I love that for you.
So I know I have prospects. I just don't care.
Okay.
That's
That's
good. You
fair
love.
enough. Yeah,
Good for you. Because
Uh,
black men don't cheat. Shout out to that.
it's true. It never happens.
Damn right.
Not even
but-
once.
Anyway, yeah. That's. But we got like a collection of handsome individuals here. All right. I'm always impressed by that. The guys who show up here. But anyway, Yeah, this is All Black Everything. As you do on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. We got a great group of guests here. We'll start with my man, Bam. Bam, thanks for being around.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Should be a fun time. Rest in shit to OJ Simpson.
Oh, you
what
done?
is it?
Yeah, he passed away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to
he-
say, and I'm not even one of those people that like laugh over the dead. It's just kind of like I get where other people come from, but I don't think
wife-
it's. I think
His wife's
more-
killer
generally
also
it's a
died
pretty bad
today. You
thing.
know.
His wife's.
Oh, he died too.
Uh-huh.
What
Okay.
His
was
wife's
that?
killer died.
I don't have a problem laughing at that. Fuck them. If they're awful people, then
I know
that's
we've
not a
had this
problem.
conversation.
But OJ Simpson, as far as I'm concerned, he didn't do it. OJ didn't do it.
But he wasn't even. But what? He wasn't black though. I mean, like, fuck the murder is crazy. Don't get me wrong. That was very fucked up. But like the whole "I'm not black, I'm OJ" shit. No one's gonna. There's a whole song about it. Y'all was there. Y'all remember the memes.
I don't.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Hey,
Sheltered.
Razor, you don't. I'm not black. So OJ,
I was sheltered.
that was a famous like
Oh,
quote
shit.
from him that he's not black. He's OJ. One time he was at a breakfast, like little a breakfast thing, and the waiter came by and was like talking about him and his friends. He's like, "Look at those N words in OJ," and his friends were mad. And he was like, "Guys, wait, you didn't hear?
What, Dave
She said
Chappelle?
those N words and OJ. I'm not
stepping
black.
up. I'm not
I'm
black.
OJ."
Was that Chappelle that said that or something?
No,
That's
yeah, no.
funny.
I think Chappelle told the story, but that's a real that's a thing. Like he really
Yeah.
did that in real life.
Yeah, OJ.
That's pretty funny.
I remember hearing that actually. That
Oh,
was, but I heard
OJ
Chappelle.
like tried to separate himself from OJ had like an interesting background. Like I remember like hearing about that. He definitely did have an interesting background. But like I mean he was trying to do the Tiger Woods thing before Tiger Woods was a thing. Yeah, like pretend that he wasn't one of us. But then when the police came for him, they're like, yeah, black football player, like kill
Yeah.
white woman. Yeah. But
Yeah.
like I said, he didn't do it. But he'll never. The real killer should say something. And they're out there. They know they are. But they should say something about that and just allow the.
Wait, you think he gonna snitch on himself now? I mean, oh fuck, he didn't have time. He probably didn't have time. He probably didn't have time to be like, you know what, I'm on my way out. I'm just let y'all
Now
know.
you're
I
gonna do
did.
it. Yeah.
I mean, it could come out in the will. That would be a crazy little thing. Like what if he? Okay, let's say
What
he
if he
did do
released
it.
the video?
If he did
Let's
do
say
it,
he did
that would
do
be the craziest thing to leave in like your like safety deposit box when you die. And like this is a
Only thing
document
is we're
released
still
to
in
the
intros.
world, and it's like
Yeah.
a video. It's like, you know what? I did do it.
Nah, bro. FanDuel should
I would
sponsor
respect
that,
it.
bro. Prize Picks
I
should
would respect
sponsor
it.
that,
Doing
dog. I ain't gonna
intros
hold
by the
you. We can gamble on the reveal of whether or not OJ did it.
I mean, he
Oh
already
my
he
god!
wrote a
the
book.
extra
He wrote a
shit.
book and told us how he would. So like,
Oh, is that what he said in this book that he would Oh no,
If
how
I
you
would've
how
did
you
it.
would do the murder.
how he would
But-
do it? Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's what if I did it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but
That
like I
shit's
don't,
weird. That shit is weird as fuck.
Shit.
Yeah.
That is weird as hell.
he didn't.
It
Yeah,
really is.
I don't know, but like it's an interesting moment in time, and it's interesting like how white people feel about OJ. It's interesting how white people feel about like black men in sports. You know, like black men in sports are celebrated for their athletic abilities. And like at least like sports media wants you to think, well, this is America coming together. Is it? I don't know. They just want black men to win for them. But after that, as soon as they have no use, or as soon as they don't have a clean cut image, right? Like a very like suburban safe image, then they're a nigger, right? That's what it is. Yeah, so
And unfortunately, it's about how useful you are, right?
yeah.
Like, Simone Biles, when she didn't go compete in Japan because they wouldn't let her take her ADHD medication, everybody was like, you get up there on that bar anyway, you keep swinging, like you keep doing it, or you're nothing. And then they immediately removed her from the shows, dude. They took her off for advertisements, they took her off for everything. Because she wouldn't risk her safety. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we could talk about that more. Don Champler, thanks for being here, friend. Nice. I like.
Going, bro.
Is that on purpose? What you got going on in the background? Like,
Yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit more visual. I'm trying to create some visual appeal, you know, instead of
is
just
it supposed to look like a solar eclipse?
Ooh.
yeah, kind of, right? It wasn't intentional, but now that you said it, I'm just gonna go with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Did you
like
guys
it's-
look at the eclipse? Did you guys see it?
no,
I
it
didn't live
didn't
in the
look-
like main zone, but I went outside and
I
looked up.
didn't
I-
care enough. So I was asleep.
I didn't.
So-
I wasn't even close enough.
I'm gonna use my intro to tell a quick story about the
Okay.
eclipse. A friend of mine was looking at the eclipse with binoculars for some reason, right? And so y'all know where this is going if you know about magnification. So he looked at the eclipse with the binoculars, and when he took the binoculars off of his eyes, like he did it only for a second, right? Took it down, and he was feeling like the corner of his eye like burning up. So like imagine if he would have had him just maybe slightly, what happened was the light that came through refracted and didn't hit him directly in the pupil, but it drove a pin-sized hole through the binocular lens.
Yeah, you can start actual fires that way.
So you could
like
you
you
could,
like a
it would have just gone through his
a
fucking
laser.
cornea, like exactly. A laser.
It's
So
just
Did he
death
activate his
directly
Sharingan?
it'd be active. But yeah, I'm Don Champlu. I'm glad to be here. Prime, thanks for inviting me. I'm here with my brothers. At this point, they are my brothers. We're gonna talk about some really interesting stuff. So that's my intro.
You should
Glad to be
arrange
here.
yourself so that like the eclipse behind you is like haloing your head.
What?
It looks really good. It's like a good visual effect.
You
Instead of
got a
that.
big ass head for that, but I like the idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't play
Something
around
like
with that sometime. Because I it's a good look. It's a good look. So next we got a friend, Razor. Razor, thanks for standing, for coming through. Razor getting attention all over the place, right? Like walking the catwalk, right? Happy that you could take your time off of modeling to join us.
Thanks. Well, yeah, like I said, every Thursday I'm invited to these. I'm always glad to be here and get myself, a little more stimulated of the mind. I was able to. I know it's a little bit late this time. It's because I was at the bank, taking care of some shit. Trying to focus a little bit more on streaming as much as I possibly can. I was streaming yesterday, and I'm so close to affiliate. I'm also a host. I'm also a host of my own new show, No Man's Land. Every other Monday, with my friend Howard Rhodes, we talk about different issues. Tune in this upcoming Monday, where we'll be talking about Israel's history of terror on Palestinians.
Cool.
It's gonna be a long ass stream.
Yeah, it's a long ass stream. Exactly. How
We're
did you
gonna
hurt your
narrow
hand?
it down to a few things. Oh, my job involves a lot of heavy lifting of soda can stuff, like 12 pack, 24 pack, stuff like that, and with enough repetition and everything like that.
Mm.
One wrong move fucked up my wrist, so my roommate got me this wrist brace for me. So gonna have it for a couple of days.
Sorry about that.
I was gonna make a point.
Sorry to hear that, dude. I'll be better.
Oh, okay. Of course you were.
No, I use my right for that.
Thanks for the specification. We needed that.
I mean,
We needed the clarification.
Yeah,
mean,
this hand, the pin pan and the jerk hand strong.
Oh,
damn
God.
right.
Okay.
Goddamn right.
That's the nigga if I ever seen one.
I mean, I love it. I love it.
Harris is like, my pin pan is strong.
You do so many things.
It's
Let's-
so powerful.
What?
these heads.
You make so many of these women behave. No.
Let's go. Let's go to our newer friend Paris. Paris, thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm not feeling too hot. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to the conversation. This is a good topic.
Oh, yeah, I hope you feel better soon. And finally, our friend Solis, we haven't here for in forever. In their new place, with maybe a new mic. I don't know. One that works, hopefully. But
No, jackass.
That's nasty
mic.
work.
It's the
That's
same
nasty
mic
work.
I've always used. I just fixed my settings on Discord. Hi, my name is Solus the PG. I make music. If you're into that kind of thing, you can find me at Solus the PG on any platform that music is accessible.
all right, hey, all right.
This music is phenomenal.
But
I
yeah,
appreciate that, Don.
it's,
Your usual tagline.
yeah.
I'm gonna drop the link in the chat.
So
you, Saul.
talking about sports stars, right? We had there's that one sports star who is who hit someone in their car, right? And there's like a warrant out for the arrest. He's a football player.
Rashi Rice.
Yeah.
Oh, and folks got the fuck up. You talking about he was in a street race?
I don't know if they proved what he was doing specifically. Like they just know it was like he like hit someone and like dipped. But I mean, he could have been street racing. But yeah, Rashi Rice. I don't know if I would. I mean, he was on the Super Bowl winning team, but I don't know if I would consider him a star yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean,
yeah, I know he's just a person that does sports to you. I got you.
Yeah. All right, I'll take that. But so like this like reminds me of Ray Rice, right? That's the one I'm thinking of. That situation and like the conversation around like him hitting his wife, and like I think around that time other NBA or not, sorry, excuse me, NFL and players were also getting in trouble, right? At least it was being very public when things happened, and like I think the conversation around that is really interesting because I think it gets racist like really quickly. Like these people who were supposed to be the adoring fans, I think they have interesting thoughts on black people when they act badly, I guess. As opposed to, of course, like a white player who does similar things. And then it's like, well, like, should the NFL be more discriminating? By that I mean like not like racially, but like discriminating in terms of like behavior, right? Like we're looking at these people for star power, right? Athletic power, but like should like their morals or whatever, are they drawing from like all like from bad neighborhoods, however you want to phrase that?
Should the NFL be more discriminatory against people that do criminal shit or are liable to?
I mean, I it's like I mean, I don't. I mean, it's this is not an argument that I'm making. I'm just saying that this is like the conversation at least that I was hearing that like you need to be an outstanding individual, right? Like and like that should maybe factor in rather than just like athleticism. Because
I mean, like
a
contrary to like
check on the people type of thing.
I was gonna say, yeah, contrary to the popular belief, they like the NFL is actually does do a decent level of like scrutinious like testing for like character. Like they're gonna if you're connected to someone, if you're gonna be signed to a professional professional like contract, they're going to sort through all of your background. They're gonna talk to people related to you. I've had people literally come and like interview my family related to people who were like teams were interested in. They didn't say what team they were from, but it was like, hey, blah blah blah. Like we didn't want to ask you about such and so, and we kind of knew what was going on. But so they do like go through players' backgrounds with a pretty fine tooth comb. The reality is, most people who are professional athletes aren't going to have the most ridiculous character background because once they learn probably around middle school to early high school that they have a legitimate opportunity to be a professional athlete, everyone around them kind of like took up their time. They didn't those kids weren't the kids that were out in the streets generally because they saw like people around them seeing the future that they had and their parents probably seeing the future that they had. So it's like you at practice, you at home, you blah blah blah. Like the coaches, people are probably like supporting you in different ways, involving you in extracurriculars, making sure you ain't gotta steal nothing.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I'll pay for your food, etc. Because they understand that, like, oh, okay, this kid has legitimate opportunity.
Can
Yeah.
I ask a
like
question
background
about
wouldn't
this?
be
Who's up?
good.
Don?
How would y'all feel if a team spent money to like cover up certain allegations or past mistakes of a potential a pick. How would y'all feel about that? They
Depends
made
on
a
how
concern. A
bad
concern.
It would be
It
Okay.
depends
really
on how
hard to
bad
make
the
that
allegations
connection.
are when they get found out, kind of a thing. But even then,
depends
that would be super
on the
weird.
situation.
Yeah.
Because I can see,
Oh,
like,
but
if a team covered up, let's say a player got into a fight at a rec league game,
Mm.
I don't
like,
care.
who gives a
Like,
shit? Yeah, who
I
gives a
don't give a
fuck?
fuck, bro. I don't give a shit. Like, that doesn't mean I'm not tripping. But if the team like covered up a player killing a small family of 6, I guess it'd be a big family, but you get
Then
the point, in like a
yeah,
fucking
or
DUI or some shit. Be like, yo, that's crazy. That's kind of fucked up.
what yeah, I think a big issue, like with what Bam said, usually with like the background stuff, like through middle school to high school and college and stuff like that, you're too busy with training and school and stuff, through your coaches, teachers, and everything, getting you up there because they see your good potential, your potential and everything, to go out in the streets and do anything kind of fucked up or anything like that. So background wouldn't be the big issue. I think one of the issues definitely is that a lot of people can't handle the stardom, and they can't handle the wealth that they'll end up getting if they do become professional. So they'll end up getting all this money, fame, and attention, and they'll completely flip. A term, not term, I think like a way I've heard people say it before is money brings out the worst in us, type of thing, or uh, people who, or it brings out your true easy
true self.
times brings out like your true self. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where it doesn't matter if you were the most perfect young man or woman in the past, the moment you get like a fuck ton of money, you just turn into a complete shitlord because you were always holding it back, knowing that you had to be nice in order to get all the things you want in the first place. But now that you have all the money, you're like, fuck, I'm not gonna be nice to anyone. And so you become a complete dick. Like I've seen that transformation happen, and it's depressing because it shows that they were never raised to on the principles of empathy, kindness, and heart. Just literally just fake it till you make it the entire way, and then once they make it, they go full ham and being a complete asshole.
I don't know. I think
You
it's
think-
I think it's hard getting if you
Or-
gave like the average 21, 22-year-old like $5 million. I think a lot of dumb stuff is gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
just
Well,
just
they're curious,
because.
right?
Bro,
Oh,
I
yeah,
watched the
because-
video. I
because-
watched the Oprah show once when I was a kid. They gave a homeless man like $100,000, bro, and he spent it in like fucking a month, and it was
Oh,
gone
yeah.
in a month.
Oh yeah, no, because so with the homeless man, obviously
Yeah,
there
he's
was
probably got all
no-
kind of no
yeah,
rail,
all
no
kind of
guardrails,
issues.
and
Yeah, nothing to
Yep.
help him understand what's going on. No help whatsoever. But for the 21, 22-year-olds, they getting $5 million, stuff like that. For the said sports people back when they were in middle school and high school, that's where their emotional development officially stunted. They immediately stopped and put all their physical and mental stuff into the sport. So then they never learned how to deal with emotions and shit the way they should.
I would
And
disagree
then once
with
they get
that.
no, I feel like
sorry.
that's what
I
it
would-
is.
I feel like that's pretty rare,
And-
honestly. Like it can happen.
I feel like it'll be like that. And then once they get all that money and they have all this stuff, they now realize like, wait, I'm an adult now. I have all this money, and I'm still young. I can go do all the things I couldn't do as a teenager now. Like they now have all that time and energy and money still to go do the things. They have the money to do the things they want to do when they were kids.
Can I give
I-
a boring answer?
I
And
agree with
this
that.
is not the most entertaining one, but so if you look at the NFL specifically, it's a myriad of a bunch of different stories. They're like the Christian McCaffreys of the world, who had a great father who basically birthed him into being in the NFL, and his father sent him to a nice school, a good Christian school, and he was raised upright and he's very nice. Like, you have guys like that, and then you have people that come from the bottom of the bottom, right? It's a myriad of different people with a bunch of different experiences. There are some people that are raised into it in a good way, where they are not jackasses. They're brought into the game the right way. Like, they don't they don't buy into the being the best in the world shit that they kind of go through. And then there are others that succumb to it. I think if to answer Prime things directly, the NFL does do a pretty good job of vetting. Like, it's not like if you do something really fucked up anywhere to the NFL, right? The chances of you making it are stunted. Granted, it's like a talent versus, what you did kind of thing. But for the most part, like if you're the number one high school prospect and you get caught in a shootout, the chances of you making to the league are now grossly stunted. It's not like people would just be like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Unless you're fucking Adrian Peterson reborn, right? They do a good job at vetting, but at the end of the day, like, people are going to be people.
I think it's kind of interesting. I think a lot of it might
You
come
think
from
that-
Black people being
My
so
bad, my
into the
bad.
sport that they're dominating it, right? And because they were dominating it, they also get the majority of like the brain injuries. So you'll see the heroes come through, right? And they'll be amazing, they'll be incredible, but then they'll be like super aggressive and like uncontrollable. You know what I mean? Because they've been bashing their head against like men their same size or larger their entire life, right?
I think what it
Something
was,
like that.
or was
CTE.
PT.
Yeah, that's
DTE. Yep.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's overblown. I think it's a real
CTE?
thing.
What?
I think it's a number of the number of people who think like, oh wow, you play professionals, like you play football, you must have CTE. Like I just always think I've always thought that was kind of like just because it's new and like everybody watched Concussion, now they feel I don't know. I feel like to some degree it's
I feel like they're a
overblown.
medical expert.
They feel like they're an explanation. Yeah, they can like explain every behavior for this. And I'm don't use my example because I feel like I'm probably separate from like I'm off from most humans. But I played football, I guess 14 years of my life. I've never had a headache in my life. Like regardless, and people say that like there's like 37 concussions a game or something like that depending on the stats you look at. But I don't know.
Oh, I hear you. I definitely hear what you're
I mean,
saying.
a
There's like a
concussion.
stigma
I
to it, right?
mean,
You could be like, oh, so I'm a football player, therefore I'm going to be that. You know what I mean? After that study came out, the world was looking at football players kind of different. That is true.
isn't the barrier to entry for a concussion not that high? Like, isn't it just like, oh, you as long as you blacked out for even a second, that's considered like they categorize that under like.
boxers can get hit hard enough once and be deemed that they got a concussion. You can actually see them have the concussion in the ring, kind of a thing. But
Yeah, they get right back up, but there's damage that happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Even
which is
the
why
lights
they
are out for a second. You know.
Yeah, I'm
Which is
saying
why
I don't
they
know if that many
usually,
people like
have,
lights
like,
again without, especially with how they
multiple
train
months.
people to hit now. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it happens, but
Mm.
like there's
You're saying it's overblown. It's like people
yeah,
are yeah.
there's a lot of body injury. People are throwing their bodies around, but like by the time you make it, high school depends on your coach, but by the time you make it to the college level, there's like enough formal training that most people don't really throw their heads into contact anymore. Maybe a few linebackers generally, but generally it's like either form tackles across the body, or if you're a DB, you like diving at legs trying to cut people down. Like people aren't really making head contact like that, which is why in the last few years, especially with a few rule changes, the number of concussions
Has gone-
listed as like
Yes,
going
yeah.
down dramatically.
Yeah. They made a change. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you know what were those
so-
rules were? I'm just curious. I'm sorry.
They got
Pat,
rid
go
of most of the ways that you can tackle, and they made getting tackled like a lot harder. Especially getting tackled in a way that's going to give you a concussion, right?
Okay.
They got rid of tackles where you grab somebody by the, I think they're like I forgot the exact name for it because it wasn't a name for it before the rule, but like waist tackles, they
Yeah,
just
doing
got
that
rid
this
of.
year. I don't know how they're gonna like
A
I-
waist tackle?
Bro, that shit blew my, because like if you ever
Isn't that
played
just
football,
airing somebody out in football? Like,
yeah, that's what anyone who's ever played football said. But
like,
like,
you, like drag them down.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the hit, you know.
But
Shoulder
I'm
pad
sure,
into
I'm
it.
sure this is. I can see Prime
Yeah, I mean-
clearly saying that like I don't give everybody.
No. I'm interested. I don't. I like they got rid of a certain type of tackle. Was the
they got rid of
tackle
several different tackles. Like after,
Mhm.
so yeah, that concussion shit did have like a ripple effect, and they got rid of the defense, which is where most people get their shit rocked, right? Getting hit by a defensive player. They've removed a lot of ways
A
that defensive
truck.
players can hit you, especially ways you'll get a concussion, like horseshoe tackles, or somebody grabs you from right here and like pulls your head back. Like every
Yeah.
way to protect this shit has
Yeah.
been put in the NFL to the best of their abilities.
So
The biggest benefit was probably the crackback. Like basically, it's just hit it. Basically, you can't hit someone that can't see you coming. Like if someone's like looking away, you can't like
No more
come in
blind
and, like,
sides.
Uh,
It's like-
But
And-
so
You, you guys gotta be locked eyes.
so
So
you
hold
gotta
on, bro.
be
So
making love to
technically,
them.
if I'm on
Yeah.
the field, can I just
Well,
like just not look at them just
you-
the whole time?
No.
Just you know,
I mean,
like
Just
I
I
mean,
mean,
I think
you
it's-
can still get hit, but it's a flag.
and they can still grab you. As well, right? Or actually, I don't know. Let me not say things I don't
Just-
know. But the
just
thing
run
is,
off the field.
I was gonna ask about is so I know that they had done that before. So like for CTE, like there was like big changes to the game, but it sounded like you guys were saying an additional change has been made for next season.
Yeah, the waist tackle. Basically, if someone's running, you can't like if someone's like if you're to the back of someone and you're chasing them down, if you want to chase them down, you can't grab them by the waist and drag them down by your body weight.
which is just a tackle if you ask me. But
Yeah, it's like I said, it's gonna be a really
That
hard
doesn't go
rule
anywhere
to.
near the head. That's weird.
yeah,
Well,
what's up,
don't-
bro?
because it's
That's
not
just
about
funny.
because this one's not about head injuries. It's more so related. They say it's caused like ligament injury. So they're saying like ankle and knee basically.
Mm.
Yeah, that
We've
makes
had-
sense. Okay,
'cause
that would
two-
actually
two
make sense.
notable
Fair.
players got hurt. This
Okay,
year.
imagine a man that size flying at your ankles, right? He's
Well, it's, the thing. If we want, you can hit him in the ankle. You can't like grab him by the waist and like
Yeah.
pull him down. That's the thing.
Oh my bad. More like the knee, I guess. Like this, like your whole
they
femur
actually,
area.
so
bro.
I don't even
Like,
think the
that- all
NFL
that
is going to
seems
do
kinda-
anything. I don't think the NFL is going to protect players for like from their knee down from tackles, because if you tackle somebody right there, the chances of them breaking that tackle is very high. In this one specifically, I'm not going to hold you. It's funny we have the conversation because it's like football is a violent sport. It just is by its nature, right? It's built on violence and hitting people, right? And due to the reputation that is gained with the concussion, with CTE, with people's injuries, if you actually like watch the sport, they're trying to make it less of that. And we're like at the line where it's like, all right, like this isn't even football anymore. Like this is crazy. Like this isn't even, we're like trying to make a sport that is inherently violent and not violent.
Yeah, they're calling it the hip drop rule.
Do
I
you
don't know
guys
what the fuck that is.
so Solus, do you think that means the sport is not worth watching anymore? That like or well,
I
know
have
you
to watch
see.
this season.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Okay.
not gonna hold you, and I have a big reason to watch because the Bears got the #1 pick. But like, if I even saw like my Chicago Bears score a touchdown because a wide receiver got a go route and just went straight to the end zone, there was somebody right behind them and they couldn't grab them by the waist and bring them down, which has been a normal tackle for all of football's existence. That's not fun to watch. It's not enjoyable. Like that's, you know, it's starting to feel more like flag football every day.
Well, okay. So
Damn,
two things.
that's
Two-
actually
Damn, that's cold.
So hold on. I
That's
want
cold.
hold on, guys. Hold on. So two things. Two things. One, like, what are the ways you can take a person down? And then I have a second question after that. Like from behind, like the guys running from behind. How do you
there
do
used to be crackbacks got a well, he calls it crackbacks, blind sides. You can't
The
just
blind
randomly,
side,
you can't just hit somebody that doesn't see you coming, which used to happen all the time. Shout out to Ed Reed. You can't horseshoe grab people, which is like where you grab somebody by their shoulders and just like bring them and like rake them back. The hip
Yeah,
tackle
that
or waist
doesn't
tackle
put
that's
flash
gotten
in your
taken
head
out.
really bad.
Fucking I can't think of the rest. Those are just the three I can think of on the top of my head.
if you were chasing me, like, could you like very romantically like pull your arm like from behind me around my
You're a quarterback?
chest, and then like yeah. Sorry.
If you're a quarterback, then if you're a quarterback, any tackle I perform, there's a chance it could be a flag.
Well, yeah. I was told, quarterbacks have even more rules around. Okay, not
Yeah,
a
they have a lot of
quarterback.
protections these days.
Yeah.
Basically,
I was-
it's what you can do if you're chasing someone from behind. Like pushing is fine. It's basically think of it like pulling motions. So pulling them towards the ground, pulling them backwards. Like
Okay,
so
could you wrap your arm around them and pull them
If you
backwards or
could
something?
get there, if you could
Yeah.
catch somebody's chest, I mean, yeah, I theoretically.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
sorry,
asked
sorry.
Chat. I
Sorry,
asked
Dave,
You can
ChatGPT.
like full just
Hold on,
wrestle
hold on,
them
hold
in.
on.
Like,
Hold on,
you
before you
just
do
have
that,
body
just what are the
like
most
that.
likely ways then, as far as you understand, to tackle a person in that situation?
Behind what Bam just described.
Yeah, you just got to like push them down.
Push up. Oh, push up. You just have to like literally.
Like,
And
just...
we'll,
hope that they fall over.
Like, wrap them over, and then like you have to go forward basically.
Oh, I
Back-
see. So you put your arm
or
around
it's
them
not
and then
down motion. Yeah.
And then
But you gotta,
push forward.
but you
Try
gotta
to take it
imagine
down.
that, like, if somebody's
Mhm.
running full speed, it's way easier to get at your waist, right, and
Yeah.
dive for that than
Yeah.
try to get your upper body as you're running away from it.
Yeah, you're tilted away. Okay. All right, fair enough. Sorry, Don, Jeffrey, go ahead. Then I'll
No, you're
ask
good.
Solus a side question.
No,
that's
you're good. I asked ChatGPT if it could find a similar comparison of getting hit by like a car as compared to an NFL player, and it gave me like a Dodge Charger, like getting hit by a Dodge Charger. So.
Those comparisons have been made throughout the history of football, because like you are a 200+ pound man running into a possible 350 pound plus man. Like, yeah, that does happen. A lot of people compare the NFL collisions to car crashes because there are this 600 pounds like in real life getting moved around and smashed into each other.
Exactly.
But yeah, Solus, you said it's becoming more and more like flag football. But is that a good thing? I mean, is that a bad thing? Right? Like,
Yeah.
It's a collision sport.
That's
Is it a bad thing?
like if we sit down and we're gonna have a fight and you're like, all right, we're gonna have a fight, but it's gonna be all body shots and you can't leave bruises. It's like, well, fuck, are we fighting? Like, what is the well, we're
yeah,
this
it could be a
doesn't-
sport though. But it could be a sport where like there's
It
not,
could.
not to like kill each other,
So-
right?
Yeah, I mean, boxing has gloves.
My immediate thought process goes to the movie Real Steel and how it was a future world where people
fought
wanted
with the
more and
robots.
more
Robots
violent
boxed and
boxing,
shit.
but they also wanted the safety of boxers, so they just said, "Fuck it, make it robots only." So
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot. I feel like that's the thing. People are gonna want more violent, but they realize that they can't take care of the. They realize they can't.
All right. Well, before we get to the
yeah.
Terminator stage, right? But like,
Yeah.
when we still have humans, like, yeah, like you said, like, yeah, it would be weird if we had a fight, but like, if it's the context of a sport, then like, we want these people to be able to survive. Like, if they're going to be entertaining us for like their livelihood is to entertain us, doing this
not
like
entertaining
dangerous
though.
sport. That's,
Like having an offense heavy okay, so if you have a sport where the defense virtually can't do much and you're taking away more and more positions for them to stop the offense from scoring, that's not that entertaining to watch. Like, imagine, I don't know if you watch any sport, but like basketball with no defense, which is most people think the NBA is. Like, we're just scoring. We're just throwing a ball into a net over and over and over again. Like, here, you put it in, I'll put it. That's not fun to watch. And especially if you like grew up watching the NFL and what the brand has been. It's been really sitting around Deion Sanders of the world, fucking the Lawrence Taylors of the world, Aaron Donald, who's about to retire. Like, defensive players have been a staple in the NFL. People getting hit has been a staple of the NFL, and it's been a big reason we watch. Like, obviously, no one wants people to have,
It's so true.
no one wants to have people to have CTE, but like,
Unironically, people like
yeah,
to see
but
violence.
but then that's the problem though, right? You're saying
Mhm.
and
Yes,
I
we
do
do.
watch sports. I watch the Super Bowl. I watch one game per year, so I'm pretty much an expert on that.
A man of culture.
Exactly, right?
Indeed.
But no, I look, I hear
some
you
difference?
that it's going to be less entertaining. Like, you know how NASCAR's got its crashes, and like people like watch specifically for the crashes. But like, but then you tell me afterwards, and I can respect the one view is like, I want to see people get fucked up, right? Okay, all right. And if that's the case, great. But then you also say, well, we don't want people to get CTE or things like that. But then, well, that comes at a cost, right? There's a tension here, and like, I think I'm not sure if you can necessarily like the pride has to be on one or the other. Either it's the health of the players or it's the entertainment. Right?
I don't think you have to sacrifice the health of the players for entertainment. Only because I'm recently seeing that the like women's basketball is starting to pick up some steam and some attention and popularity. And I think that the reason why they're actually picking up steam is because people are starting to focus on the rivalries within these female basketball associations, like the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reeses and stuff like that. And I think
it's also a reason why MMA or boxing is also extremely entertaining. While they still try and do what they can to while still being a contact sport.
You know exactly where I'm going, Razor. You know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah,
that's
the
what I'm trying to say is that it's the rivalries, it's the competitiveness. So So to the question, do we want to turn the NFL into flag football? Of course not. But we do. But making it more safe doesn't necessarily take away from what makes football watchable and makes it exciting to watch. But the problem with the NFL and also the problem with basketball is that they take a lot of the competitive aspects out of the game. Like they'll find players for talking shit. They'll find the players for doing the dances and doing the things that get the fans riled up and that make it entertaining. So like on the one hand, you want to try to fucking baby them and get it so that they can't get hurt. But on the other hand, you're taking away other tools that they have at their disposal to make the NFL more entertaining. And I feel like that puts the players in a really untenable position to make the NFL more entertaining. It's on the owners and the execs.
So wait. Let's put it like this, right? If you see Aaron Donald, right, play a snap, and he has 2 350-pound men who get paid multi-million-dollar salaries just to stop him, and his big ass grabs both of them and shoves them out the way and runs and grabs a quarterback. It doesn't. And again, mind you, this is Aaron Donald played in this era where you're not picking up a quarterback and slamming on the fucking neck, right? He grabs him and as gently as he can puts him on the ground. That's a flag. Can't do that. You did it too aggressively. It's rough.
That's whack. That's whack.
Not fun to watch.
Yeah,
and
that's not even football.
And I get what you're saying, Prime. Like,
high was the Aaron Donald go hard like that.
And I get what you're saying, Prime. And the reason I get the example is because I'm not saying that like I need to see Aaron Donald pick up Tom Brady and put him in a pile driver like the Undertaker and slant. Like I'm not saying that. Right? You ain't got to kill somebody. But damn, I can't. It's a contact sport, but I'm supposed to grab you and put you on the floor, and you're saying I can't do that. That's the part where it's like this isn't fun to watch.
So it takes away the possibility of it ever happening, right?
No, it doesn't take away the possibility of it ever happening, but you're making it more and more difficult, and you're not making it difficult for the offense. So you're kind of heavily skewing it one way as opposed to the other.
Yeah, I think it's also different. Like the NASCAR example wasn't like there's some people who are effed up and watch it for the crashes, but I wouldn't consider crashes part of the sport. Like the point people watch, like people enjoyment from football isn't to see people injured. Like, I mean, they literally, the players literally stopped the game whenever,
Damar Hamlin got hurt.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin, like, had a serious, like, almost died on the field. Like, the players were like, oh, okay, like, this isn't what we do it for. But everyone involved, probably except the quarterback, comes to an understanding that, like, oh, okay, like I said, basketball is a contact sport. I always say football is a collision sport. Like the point is for really, really big, really, really powerful people to crash into each other or at full force. I mean, that's the sport.
But,
so you say like, okay, we're gonna do this sport
without
the crashing.
So I can back that, right? Because like you would see those Sports Center or whichever like sports like TV show, maybe like your local sports segment, right? And what would they show, right? They would show like the big hits, right? Oh, look at this big hit, right? And again, look at this dude get laid out. And they did that because that was entertaining for people. I get it that's what it is, but but then on the other end, you tell me like, well, yeah, I don't want CTE. That's what I'm saying. Like when you are telling me that this is just a sport, right? It's a collision sport. But then later on, tell me about like you're worried about the health of the players. It doesn't sound like that. Those two statements congeal, right?
Like I said, there are things that they do. There are things that they're like we can break down certain things that aren't safe for the game. Again, I grew up in a time like where the crackback was completely legal. The blindside hit, like I said, it was completely legal. But the research says it wasn't good for the game. The types of helmets that they were using, like some of them look cool, but they didn't have the correct padding to like actually protect the like skull. You adjust those things, but like to some degree, you have to like let this game be what it is. And if from the player's perspective, they're not asking for the game to not exist. What they're generally asking for is just the same union protections everyone else at their job asks for. So generally they're asking for like, oh, okay, I want health care for life via the NFL. Like I'm putting my, I'm making sure I'm getting paid, but like there's a lot of players at the bottom that like the average career is like somewhere around 3 years, and the average person playing walks away with somewhere around $1 million. Which, don't get me wrong, there's, that's a lot of money, but
It's you don't
when
live
you're
the rest of your life on that.
27,
Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
yeah, when you're,
Yeah.
you're 27 now, yeah, you gotta live the rest of your life. Yeah, you need more security than that. So like the $200 million players, like they're gonna be fine regardless. But it's like I said, unions aren't for obviously the people up top. Unions exist to protect the people at the bottom. So like
Motherfuckers on the bench.
yeah, like
Well,
the players like,
no
okay,
dice.
I put my life on the line for this, so I just want proper protections in place, and they advocate that to the players' union. So the players' union has made improvements over the last few years. Like now they have a players guaranteed pay for life if you play it a minimum 4 years. It, like basically like how other jobs have pensions that kick in after like 20. The NFL, no one's gonna play 20, so now they have a pension that kicks in at 4, and it starts at like I think like $60,000, and then for each year after that, it goes up some, which I think is actually a really cool idea for to say that like, oh, okay, you don't, you can go get another job if you want to, but maybe you spent the first 5 years of your life doing nothing but this, and now you actually don't have the skill set to do anything else. Like we should probably still take care of you to some degree.
Seeing
I
as you
think
risked
it's
your
good,
life
man.
to play a sport to entertain these people.
Well, yeah. You sacrifice a lot to do it, right? Like,
Well,
what about the young kid who is getting his time taken up by like his parents and his environment, who has the prospect of getting into the NFL, right? Like, oh, bro, you finna make so much money. We finna make it out the hood with you. Like push harder, right? Like push the weight harder, more weight. Like you got to train harder, and the shit drops on his neck. And then like, how many of those kids do you not hear about, right? Like,
Mhm.
what about them?
What you mean?
It's kind of like, well, like we send people into the grinder, being like, yo, there's a prospect of a lot of money. You can get a huge chance of it, but at what cost?
I was gonna ask Bam. I was gonna ask you. Do you think sports are exploitative in any sense?
before you answer that, Don, you got like a little static from your mic. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh.
wind blowing on it. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, check that out.
Yeah.
But we heard you.
I'm
say-
outside. My bad.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bam. You can answer.
Yeah, I think I understand the like face value comparisons people make to like slave auctions. And like you literally tell people go run, go jump. Like they're this tall, weigh this much, got a good jawline. Like,
Well, I didn't necessarily mean racially. I just meant like kind of like labor. Exploitative labor, not taking care of the people. It's a job.
Yeah.
Most on that.
I understand what you're saying. I think from the professional level, it depends on who you. There's perspectives for this. If you come at it from like the socialist labor value argument, like almost objectively so, like because technically there are owners of teams, so the players aren't getting 100% of the value that they could create. But from which is actually the argument I push for. Like it's the thing that people
NCAA.
aren't able to put together is like socialists argue is that like, oh, there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire, but I'm like, you chose that number like at random. Like there's actually this number being a billionaire doesn't actually mean anything, because we're coming upon times where we are seeing laborers, not owners, who are going to be billionaires. Like professional athletes aren't owners, they're laborers, and their net worth from playing is going to hit $1 billion.
I
Said
would.
half of that, right? That's what it's time for.
That's interesting.
It's not
you were about to
interesting.
put it back on
It's
the
not
agenda.
interesting what he's
Doesn't mean
saying
they're
at
not
all.
laborers, yeah.
Actually, it's really dumb. But
So why can't
I think he's cooking.
No, he needs to say it because I'm sure Promise said as much, that you can't earn $1 billion.
that you can't.
Like a person, like you can't without like harming others or something.
No, I don't think I've ever said that in particular. I'm just saying that we shouldn't have billionaires. Period. That's like my argument. Not like the non-ethical billionaire. Like I've heard that. And I mean I don't know. I've heard of some billionaires who have like had like businesses that were, at least from our perspective, the outside perspective, seem pretty ethical, seem like pretty helpful for their communities. There's this one who owns this bank that is like significantly like very customer focused, and what they choose to invest in, or like green energy, renewable stuff, rather than in oil or fossil fuels, things of that nature. Like I don't know. So like I can imagine a person becoming a billionaire and not necessarily being like destructive at it. but I don't know.
Well,
right? I would
depends on
think-
how socialist you are. Like, because some people, like, say, if you buy into like the labor value thing, like they would say, like, because like most billionaires own companies, and they say that they're by definition like stealing from workers.
I don't know if
Because
the
they're saying that, like,
construction is necessarily
Yeah,
that
it's quite
they're
amazing.
stealing from workers. It's simply that like workers don't get the full full amount of their value. Like I'm not
Right.
sure. I mean, I'm sure some people like look at it as stealing. But it's like, well, they also like created the machine, they created the workplace for them, for you to generate that value in the first place. So I don't know. I would disagree with that characterization as necessarily stealing. It can be stealing, right? They can do that to their workers. But I don't put that off the rip. But like I always say, so the reason why I say that we shouldn't have billionaires is because wealth works like a black hole, right? It works like gravity. It distorts the socio-political space around it. So the bigger concentration of wealth you have, right? The more like everyone orbits around them, trying to get at that wealth, doing what they can for access to that. And so when you have multi-billionaires, they get to exert their will. Like you can see it in Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a perfect example of this. He's a perfect cipher because he doesn't actually have beliefs of his own. He has no principles, nothing like that, right? And so he responds to like incentives. Like he really is like a perfect example of this. And so like we have Sheldon Adelson. He was this big billionaire mogul, casino mogul. And he died fairly recently. And his wife is still around, right? But they are like rabid right wingers, and they have rabid support for Israel, right? Well, right now, he's not getting paid by his wife, right? I forget what her name is, but we'll just call her Alderson. He's not getting paid. She hasn't given him any money for his support. So then he comes out with like a soft statement about like Israel. It's not like as hard as he usually goes. Like there was this interview. You can find it. It was like just a few days ago. They're sitting in front of these two individuals, these gentlemen who were Jewish, right? And they were talking to him about Israel. And he not like he was like, I'm fighting for Palestinian rights now. I didn't say anything like that, right? He was just soft, a lot softer for support for Israel than previously, and they were just shocked that this could happen. Well, yeah, because he's not getting paid to say otherwise, right? And so the point is that like these politicians will respond to those incentives, right? They will do what these people say. So if we get rid of these concentrations of wealth, we will have a far less distorted political landscape. There you go.
But
Well,
yeah,
what about the politicians who do what their citizens say, and the citizens are like pretty crazy, right? Like some of them vote in like Nazis and the QAnon people, and these are their representatives. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh,
But
that's
I
crazy
don't-
you said that, because this is literally I asked this question today. I asked this question today on what do you guys believe in as far as political philosophy? Like, this is a political philosophy question. Do you believe that a good politician is principled and sticks up for what they believe is right in the face, like even in the face of like pushback from constituents, even if it leads to them losing their job? If they like truly believe this is the right thing to do, they stand by it, and they're like leaders in that regard. Or do you think like the flip side of that is some people consider it weak that like, oh, this politician isn't consistent, they've changed their position on this thing over the years based on whatever public opinion says, and they say they're like, oh, okay, that's like, they don't have a spine, and they're just trying to keep their job. But some people would argue that a good politician should be an ear to his constituents. It should like be malleable to whatever the quote unquote will of the people is, because that's what they've been placed in there to do. Like, not assort their will, but like assort the will of the
The
people.
people. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So yeah, which do you feel? What do y'all feel? Do you?
I lean more towards the idea that if you're elected by the people, you should do the people's bidding. And if the people are stupid, they should suffer the consequences of their lack of knowledge. I know that's kind of harsh, but I mean that's the way that democracy ought work, right? Like if you, I think it was George Carlin said this. He was like, if you have dumb, ignorant, non-critical thinking voters, you're probably gonna have dumb, ignorant, non-critical thinking politicians. They're dumb, you're stupid, and you both deserve each other. And that's just, I mean, that's the way the game's supposed to be played.
Because some people, an example people like to bring up is that Barack Obama during his first term didn't run was against gay marriage. The second term, it ended up obviously going to the Supreme Court, so he didn't even do anything in Congress. But in his second term, he came out as an advocate. He was like, okay, you know what? Now it's time to do that. And then people were arguing that why did it, why is there a time to stand up for what's right? Like, why weren't you principled? And
I feel like I want to
Bit-
pull a
No,
I
go
want
ahead,
to pull
go
a
ahead.
dream. I want to pull a dream real quick and just go on and harken on truth. I think that as a politician, if you have a vision for something, if you have a vision for the city, if you have a vision for a policy, I think that you should stay true to what it is that you got elected to do. I don't think that you should listen to every single fucking constituent. You should listen, but not everybody is fucking keen on politics and actually knows how to move structures and mechanisms in politics around. It takes finesse to get things done in politics. It's not just like, oh, I have this great idea and now everybody's going to agree with it. It's like you need to be able to work the scales of power and influence in politics. So,
And then
but
you have to be a rhetorician.
But I think with that being said, you need to stay true to yourself and true to what you believe, because at the end of the day, me as somebody who's not a politician, when people start to acquiesce too much, it actually starts to blur the lines of the political landscape, and it makes it so that it's confusing where people actually lie on certain issues. So I think if I had it my way, you be as true as you can be. You're not allowed to lie. And then the people who are actually for the people, right? Those people are telling the truth, and they get to, they get to do the right thing.
Do you think it's a bad thing if you're
Before
like
before you ask this question, Don, we heard what you said, but you got like a lot of static coming through.
I'm
now
sorry.
on your mic.
I
It
really
wasn't before.
just
Yeah, something changed. I don't know. At the start of the stream, it wasn't an issue, but like now we're hearing it a lot. But
say
we
Okay.
can still hear
say
you.
something else.
We can still hear
hold
you.
on.
Like it stopped.
All right.
Yeah, just
How
stop
about
now.
now?
Yeah.
Now?
Okay. Yeah, you're good.
There you
Go
go.
ahead. So go ahead, Solus. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you.
do you
Yeah.
think it's bad if you have to suffer the consequences of stupid voters? Like if you have to engage with your community and engage with the fact that there's many people who are politically
Do I think it's bad? Do I
you
think
think
it's
it's a bad
bad that it is a bad thing? But you know what it
Okay.
is? It's a necessary evil of society. That is what it is to be in a society with other people that you disagree with. It's
'Cause I
to
think it's
it's
like
to
I'm sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No. I think that what it's, so here's my thing, right? As I'm getting older, right? I'm 30 years old. I've started to notice that I'm able to perceive the problems in my city, and I'm actually starting to think about man, what if I did show up to a council city meeting? What if I did start to figure out why is it that when I see certain things in my city, it bothers me, and I have a sort of intuition as to why, but I don't really know why. And the thing is it behooves me to let that bubbling anger and that bubbling uncomfortability lead me towards the path, which is to become more politically involved, which is what everybody needs to be, is more politically involved, if we're being real. But we just don't have the time. But
That's what I was about to
realistic,
say.
you know what I mean?
That's what I say. I feel like when you have to suffer the fact that you're it's like the question of are you your brother's keeper, right? Like if you
Yep.
have to suffer the fact that you have an ignorant, stupid society that you take place in, you have a say in, I think
Yep.
having to suffer that will encourage you to do something about that.
Exactly. Live in reality. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to me and tell me that it's one way so that I can't actually feel what's really going on in the society. I'd like to know that shit's fucked up, and then I can get angry about it, and then I could take action. But if what you're doing is doing smoke and mirrors and really playing with my ability to see the truth, that doesn't allow me to form a nice solid foundation on how I can move forward with the information. Yeah. Which is getting lied to. It's just getting lied to.
I mean,
Yeah,
I was,
like it unsettles
I mean,
you, right?
I was
Like,
in
you see
a
it, and then you get lied
I
to.
mean,
It's like,
I mean, there's also like with like some constituents, they're just fucking. I don't. It's hard to say. Like, I don't want to say they're like too far gone or anything, but that's what it feels like.
They're
Uh,
vindictive. They're vindictive.
where
They don't see.
yeah, they don't. Where it's a mixture of being vindictive and just petty, almost petty in a way.
Mhm.
Because I was just on a panel yesterday on with Kai, and when I stated that I want the best for everyone, I want policies that will make sure that everyone, including me and you, are taken care of while still giving us the drive to go forward with different jobs and everything. And you have good jobs, good pay, all that kind of stuff. I was told, "Fuck you, fuck you, the fuck them." Like what? Like why do I have to care about anyone else? I'm just like, that's depressing
Well,
to hear
don't
someone
but
say.
raise it. Like think about it, right? A lot of people are in a very bad spot right now, like in their lives financially, right? And to think that you could understand where that emotion comes from, where it's like, why should I have to take care of like, and let's I'm gonna get a little saucy with it, but like, why the fuck should we have to pay for the war in Ukraine? This is an argument that people make, right? It's out of fucking frustration and anger that they're not getting what they need. They're not getting their needs met. So they're like, well, fuck them over there. Let's fucking, let's take our
Worry about us.
taxes and
Oh,
worry
no,
about us.
No,
Now,
the-
whether or not
again,
whether or not you think it's good or bad for us to be in Ukraine, that's not my argument. My argument is only that people in their anger in this thing see an issue far out of the scope of their daily life and think if that was just gone, my life would be better. It's like
No, and that's the thing. The thing I'm talking about is like I'm not even taking into consideration any foreign stuff. I'm talking about like
Yeah.
just here
Yes,
and here
like, yeah,
alone.
yeah.
We were to take we were to take our tax money, put it towards healthcare, education,
Teachers, yeah.
infrastructure, make sure teachers and shit like that. We were to
Mhm.
make sure that all the tax money majority of tax money that we got went towards making the betterment of human life. Republicans still look at that as if that's the worst thing to do because strong men need to be made. You're going to make them weak. It's like, what?
Like,
Let's
don't you
like
think that?
let's speak on that. Like, do you want the world to be better for your enemies too?
Yeah. What you mean? Like America?
Yeah. So
I
like,
don't-
let's say you're a politician,
I don't
right? You're
want
completely
any
open, you're completely
resources that
honest
are
and
given-
everything, right?
Oh, sorry. What do you say?
So like, let's say you take lying off the table, right? You're completely open, you're completely honest, and but your enemies still have that ability, right? So just like earlier we talking about football, now on like the political field, you made it easier for the offense, right? So it's like, well,
So
We'll
the overall
let the best
goal in
man
my
win, right?
mind, the overall goal in my
I would
mind
agree
is
with you,
that
but
the
we all
overall
seen
goal
the
in my
Russian
mind,
attacks, right?
obviously, is that yes, and recently
Mhm.
also Iran's planning to do attacks like that. But
Hey, this is
the
floating away
overall-
from like what? Go ahead, finish your point. But like, we're we've moved away from what Bam was actually saying, and I want to get back to that. But go
Yeah.
ahead, finish
But
your
yeah,
point.
the overall goal in my mind is like to in making the better and doing the betterment of our people, it makes it easier for us to then care for everyone else and help take care of people around the world. We're the ultimate superpower besides China. And if we were to somehow fix most of our stuff here, we could then focus on making it better for everyone else as well. So we wouldn't even end up with enemies. It would all be allies and allies only, and the few fringes that are just like I want nothing but power, we would have a strong enough alliance around the world to smother those out of existence.
To tie what Bam like initially said, I think that again, I think it's good that the if nothing else, the people's responsibility should be the people. I believe in that wholeheartedly. I believe that if we're going to be a collective community, right, that we should have to engage with each other. Even if we have people that are too far gone, I think that as a society we should have to engage with these people. I don't think that there should be a case where we're like, hey, we have a huge problem. Like half of the country is borderline neo-Nazis, or half of the country are borderline like fucking Antifa, right? They've lost their goddamn minds, whatever like leaning place they've gone. But we're gonna ignore that and have politicians do their best to like subdue that. I think people ought have to deal with people, even if they are far gone. You should have to be politically engaged, and I think the only way to do that is for you to really see what your community thinks, and for that to happen, politicians have to do what the people say. You don't know what your community thinks if the people you elect to do the will of your community are not doing what the community thinks.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Very true.
So, so Bam, I took time to like consider your question. I think that we don't elect like polling machines, right? We don't have a direct democracy. We don't like we're not creating. We should expect of our politicians to be like a perfect cipher for like their districts. I think they should reflect their districts and their values. If the people vote for a deeply conservative individual, then that's what they should get, right? Like and we should also understand that democracy is like a blunt tool to like even get that right, get the right representative. There's one like to win, you get 51% of the vote, right? Like, what does that mean for the rest of that district, right? If it's a close vote, then does this person like really represent us? I don't know. It's kind of the best we have. And then beyond that, like what you get to choose are like who ends up running, and how and who can end up running in the first place. There are barriers there, right? So they're like, so out there's this idea of a perfect candidate, but like what you get in the end is like what's left. Like those things are all filtered out. And in the end, we come down to 2 or 3 choices depending on like your district and how that works, right? But you'll have like a few choices, and then you'll pick that person, and they show up. So there's that, right? So that person, whoever that is doing the best, assuming they're good faith, the best they can to represent the interests of their district. But then, what are the interests? This is why, again, I'm talking about like getting money out of politics, because that distorts things. Because if they cannot run an election to continue on, right, to get elected once again, right? If they can't run a campaign, that's what I was trying to say, without money, well then they're going to have to listen. Like they will have to listen to moneyed interests, and those money interests probably don't have the interests of the rest of the people within the district. And so like, so you're asking like, so should they have their own principles? I think so. I think in the best possible world for a politician, I would expect that they would have a set of principles, and that like it somewhat aligns with the district that they come from. However, like since I'm not electing a machine, I want them to be able to go and deal with challenging issues that are placed before them, because there's so many things that like we don't discuss from an election. We can't possibly know everything that's going to come up, right? Like emergencies happen. I want a principled person who can take that in and thinking of the best way to serve their district, like handle that situation for me, right? Makes that tough call. But from there, right, it could also be the case that whatever their tough calls are, like in a situation that maybe no one saw coming, that the people disagree with them, and that we should have a discussion, a dialogue with them when that's happening. Hey, your district disagrees, right? So we should be able to petition them and say, you've gone in a particular direction that we are vehemently against. And yeah, like give us your reasonings for why you did this, right? And then maybe they explain themselves and it makes sense, or maybe it doesn't, and we're letting them know, hey, this isn't the direction, you got to course correct. Like it's basically what I'm saying is that there should be a push and pull between the people and the individual in charge. Yeah, that push and pull is distorted by money. because then there is another force within this equation, another variable, a more powerful variable that redirects the politicians' goals and motives. So I hope that answered your question. I said a
No,
lot of
yeah, for
stuff.
sure. Yeah, it is for sure. There probably is some balance, like some in between that's needed. Not, well, that you would expect there to be some in between this necessary, and and it's a weird balancing act that I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of examples of in Congress and in the presidency. Like, um, people. First of all, I love Nancy Pelosi. A lot of people hate Nancy Pelosi, but Nancy Pelosi, as a young politician, was a strong advocate for a single payer healthcare. I'm not even necessarily personally a single advocate for a single payer healthcare, but advocate for single payer health. But she like formed multiple bills related to, it wasn't Medicare for all at the time, but like she's backed it,
Mhm.
and she since moved her position to Obamacare or multi-payer options, things like that. And like people have talked to her about it, and she says that like this is where the people stand on the issue. Like, like I had, my desires for
Money
single payer,
just
but like
screwed her over.
people don't want that. So I moved and turned to it. I think we see similar things with the way the squad, AOC in particular, has changed the way that the types of things she's outspoken on. And like with experience, realize like, oh, okay, like I can say a lot, I can advocate for my beliefs, but I'm not being effective as a politician. I think for her first few years, she was like, I think they're statistically the least effective congressman of all, based on like actual votes for things that she pushed forward. Um, and then
I would like to actually examine that because most politicians don't actually put anything forward, right?
mm,
They put, and I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, so
okay,
I
no, you're fine.
apologize. But just quickly, like most politicians, like my politician in my district, I've never heard his name attached to a fucking thing. Not one fucking thing. You never see him in the news. He doesn't need to be in front of the cameras all the time. I don't think he has to operate that way, right? But they do nothing. They're complete backbencher, right? And compare that to AOC, who has actually put out policy priorities. I like, from my perspective, it doesn't matter necessarily that she's failing to get those through, but she's actually putting forth ideas, and that's valuable for like a whole list of reasons, even if
Mhm.
it doesn't work, right? And we can
True.
say about Bernie Sanders. I'll save that part for later, but like, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, but it's not just because of her policies; it's the way she does them. I'll find the study and post it.
Okay.
Like I think she was like the single least effective politician. So you would assume like, oh, okay, some boring old school like moderate or conservative was the most effective. But by this like data set, Cory Bush was one of the most effective. Based on what she put.
I'd like to see their methodology,
Yeah,
but go
that was
ahead.
for. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that. But and then kind of like I said, kind of the full stop of like Donald Trump when he was elected president. This is a different thing, but Donald Trump's position for being elected president is he didn't put on some facade that he was the president of the entire country. He
Mhm.
was the president of of the Republican Party, and he was going to push Republican policy. And the
Mhm.
Democrats and their followers were like the enemy. Like, you lost, suck up and get it. Like Republican things are happening. Versus like generally speaking, no matter what happens prior to getting elected, generally when a president hits office, they start speaking like, oh, okay, I'm here for everybody. I'm the president for everybody. I'm the president for the people. Like
President of
you
America.
didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get what you want, but I'm still gonna like, we're gonna have to talk to Republicans. We're gonna have to sit down in Congress and get things done. So it was yeah, I just think that it's interesting that dynamic in philosophy and how different politicians make different decisions on how to sit on that train. Because and this is the last thing I'll say related to this. Um Biden is for a lot Biden gets a lot of crap for his history in Congress, but one of the things Biden would probably be, generally speaking, Biden is really has his ear to the street as far as like Biden's position has changed dramatically over the years, and from Congress and in office on positions based kind of almost directly related to how America feels on the issue. Like, and some people say that, like, yeah, he's a coward for that. Like, oh, he used to be in favor of school busing, or he used to be in favor of, like, insert the thing that Biden was in favor of that you think is bad now. If you look at the polls related to that time on the issue, he's going to be pretty close to where the people stood on that issue. And people have beef with that, but that's just how he's moved through Congress. That's how he's lasted 40 years. He lasts 40 years because he does whatever the people want.
So then, like, aren't we literally hoping to get a polling machine, right? Like, we want the representative who's tuned in to us, like, as close as possible, right?
Well,
So,
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Prom says not
So
really.
that's what I'm saying. Like that, it depends on. That's what I'm saying. Like literally, this is democracy at its finest. Like depends on the person, right? I would say, yeah, I want somebody that reflects the people. Prime would say, not really. You know what I mean? Like, depends on the person.
Well, that's not exactly what I said, right? I said
There's some
that
balance.
you said
they should be
Push and pull, right?
Yeah, there's a push and pull. There's a push and pull between the two. That they should like be somewhat representative of their district, but also like, what are we electing? Are we electing leaders or are we electing followers? Right, and that's like and that's not an easy question to answer at all, because sometimes I think we want them to be able to lead on an issue, especially one that where people don't have their thoughts like fully when they don't have like complete thoughts on a particular issue, because there were so many dilemmas that happen. I'm like trying to think of a good example of this, but like I don't. Okay, sure. Here's a good one. The war on terror, right? When that first kicked off, right? So this is after 9/11. Country is reeling, and suddenly we have politicians faced with what to do, right? The people want to be like kept safe, right? Like we got hit hard. We're like burying our dead, sifting through the rubble. How do we prevent this from happening again? And let's go get the bastards who did it. All right. So that there's two pieces to that. One, how do we protect ourselves? Well, could we protect ourselves by like we could shore up our security, right? Like in airports definitely, yeah, obviously, right? Shore up our airports security. We can do things like that, like make our soft targets hardened. We can do that, but also we could also have a massive espionage or intelligence gathering operation and gather intelligence on Americans. That was the choice put in front of people, like our politicians. Do you want to gather intelligence on all Americans, right, without warrants? And they said yes. Right? They passed this Patriot Act, which is a fucking mess. But that's because people were scared. And if you had asked their constituents at that time, they would have said, yeah, sure. Yeah, we don't want this to happen. And if you're not doing anything wrong, right, then there's nothing to hide. That's what was the argument back then. But that wasn't the right argument. And people figured that out slowly. But we had leaders at the time to say, like, we understand you're scared, but this proposal on the table will have disastrous consequences for us in the future. Well, then that would have had better outcomes. And then on the other side, in terms of the war, right, people were scared. And then should we launch a decades and decades long war in Afghanistan? Or are there other ways to handle striking back at the Taliban? Right? Especially since that was literally, in case you don't know, Osama bin Laden's goal. Why did he do the September 11th attacks? Was to draw the U.S. into a decades-long war into the Middle East, to drain their coffers and to damage them on the world stage. And it worked chef's kiss, like a charm. But we had leaders who said, like, well, I mean, we got to go get the bastards. All the constituents were saying, you got to go get the bastards. This is the way to do it. So, like, what do you want? Do you want a perfect cipher? Biden was one of those people. Like, going back to what Bam said, Biden was one of those individuals who cheerleaded that war. But then afterwards, it's like, oh yeah, this was a complete fucking disaster. Do we want a leader or do we want to follow her? And that's again not an easy question to answer. Go ahead.
So let me pose something then,
Love
because
versus right.
I receive everything you just said, and that was worded very well. If the people make a dumb decision, as a collective whole, they have cipher politicians that just kind of do what they say,
Mhm.
and those people, right? God forbid it's not like, I don't know, fucking something where we blow up the world. They live long enough to see what they decided to do as a voter base was a mistake. Do you not believe that having to suffer the consequences of mob mentality like sharpens them the next time something of that nature comes up?
Due to lack of education, no.
Well, if you have a, I mean, we're talking about voters, like, yeah, not Joe Blow Schmo on the street. In this world, we're talking about the people that were active from the 2000s till 2016, whatever the fuck it was. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like, people
mean,
that are engaged with what's going
we
on.
see we see that happen. We see that happen in countries with like certain regimes that end up fleeing those countries and then end up voting in other ways in other countries due to their history and their, I guess you could call it trauma that they endured in maybe a previous country.
No,
So I think
saw this
I think it can happen.
No, I was asking Prime specifically, but I wanted to let everybody
Oh,
answer. But
my
it's
bad.
okay. I didn't specify it. So it's on me. But I just wanted to-
Okay. I think seeing the consequences of their actions. One, will they? Right? Like, you could look at Republican voters who voted against their own interest, right? Like they complain about the lack of investment in their towns, right? Like I get, you're a Republican voter, you live in a small town, and that's been like deindustrialized. You had a factory there. A factory ended up closing and it moved off to China, right? Or Mexico, and they're angry, right? And then the politician says, well, like the problem is immigrants. Immigrants are the reason why they're taking your jobs, the jobs that had already left for the most part, right? But they're taking their jobs of focus. And so you can vote for those politicians who keep like distracting you from like the real issue, which was deindustrialization and these trade deals that didn't favor Americans, didn't protect American industry, and didn't keep in mind, right, the like an expanding population with a shrinking amount of jobs, and like how can we at least replace those things. None of that happened, right? Trade deals made for capitalists and only for capitalists. So like I think among these populations, so many of them like have never actually reckoned with the fact that the very politicians that are they're voting for again and again are the ones who cheerleaded the loss of their jobs. So do they ever actually reckon with those things? I don't think they do.
And I think that a part of that is kind of what we're talking about, where I think if it was viewed as, and I go back to George Carlin because he was really, really big on like politics, and a lot of the jokes he had resonated with me. If people looked at it not as Joe Biden fucked up, insert whatever your favorite politician, Ronald Reagan, whoever the fuck it was, this person fucked up. If they looked at it as we voted for that, I think that people look at it differently. Whereas I feel like a lot of times it's insert politician fucked up and this is not what the people want. But if it was more so skewed to look at it as, no, this is what we voted for. This is what we asked for. We gave them that gun and they did what they did with it, but we gave it to them. I think people would be more so on the side of like, like we did this. And I get what you're saying. And I always understand like there's a bit of a pessimistic mind state that people have with Americans, like with each other. We're all a little bit stupid. But I like to think that people have the ability to at mass learn about things when it comes to politics. Like I think if nothing else, growing up from seeing 2016 till now, I think that the more people have to suffer like great consequences for who and what they vote for, they get more and more politically engaged. And I think that that's what I'd like to hang my hat on at the end of the day. Like if the people do something dumb, good, whatever it is, they will suffer the consequences of that enough to engage with that reality of like, I played a role in this. And I'm speaking on people that vote, like are politically engaged people.
I don't think that anybody. Oh, you're sorry.
Let me say this one thing, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say. Because I don't think that what people are voting for is ever so clear. right? This I was trying to get this across my comment to Bam previously, right? But like there are a few issues where it's like I see the input and I directly see the output, right? Usually the output is extremely obscured. So like look at the abortion, right? Abortion is one of those exceptions where you can have these individuals who voted for anti-abortion politicians, but now that like it's actually upon us, right? That all these decades of like building a political movement has worked out, and they made the change in the country that they were looking for, right? And they're seeing the suffering. Now that is like a moment where you can say, "Oh, I fucked up," right? Like that was me. That was the input, right? Well, and then here's the output. But so often, especially like when we're talking about like fiscal policy and foreign policy, and like how do you manage the industrial base? Like I was just talking about, like a trade deal is a complicated thing. And most individuals don't really grapple with all that. Most don't follow any of the things that we follow. And so when you say like, well, you're gonna have to grapple with the thing that you did, will they? Like, how will they understand? It's really tough. It's actually very difficult to know, to see like your place in this whole scheme, especially if you don't spend your life like online, like terminally online, like me. You know?
Yeah, I would say that there's two main big issues with that, and I think Prime just spoke to one of the larger ones. As far as like seeing it, the reality is any like 99% of political decisions aren't felt sometimes with like even until like a decade after they're made. Like just because you pass a bill, you get like it actually meeting like people's outcomes and livelihood. Like I said, that could be like 10 years from now. And by the point that it does hit them, like they're not gonna think about the last president who put it in place. They're gonna blame whoever's currently there. Like they, you know, like, oh, my life, this sucks right now. This must be your fault. Insert person who's in charge now. The
It's not an
second,
excuse.
I mean, yeah, I just think that it's just impossible to tell. Like even if a policy is bad, like let's say that, and even I'm even gonna make it like a leftist policy. Let's say that like, or something I believe in. I believe that student loans should be forgiven, not completely, on like some like whatever. It doesn't matter. Student loan forgiveness. I don't have to get my position right now. Let's say we do that. Everyone who advocated for that would be extremely happy that it happened. If there ends up being negative side effects like 8, 9, 10, 12 years from now, they're not going to be able to associate that back to student loan forgiveness. It's just impossible to make that connection at that point because it's like it was so long ago. Even if it ends up like, wow, there's a lot of people who, you know, like can't find jobs or something, increasing there. So yeah, that's part one. The second part is no one like the political like the political state of America, or it's really three things. The political state of America isn't really related to people's tangible feelings on the ground. Rarely. It's mostly related to what do the politicians do a good job of telling me that everything is okay. Like if you ask the average like Trump supporter who's going to vote for Trump again in 2020, and going to vote for Trump again in 2024, if you ask them what life was like from 2016 to 2020, they're going to tell you life is better. They're not going to be able to connect it to any policy he's done, but they're going to believe that their life was legitimately better under Trump just because. They're not like, they're going to say like, yeah, everybody was making more money. Like he was giving out, you know, the PPP loans. Like we was eating off Trump. Like it was good. But like I said, they can't connect. They can't make any direct connections to why it was Trump. But that for some reason he did a good job of selling them on the fact that like, oh, okay, America was better then and it's bad now under Biden, because every time Trump goes on stage and talks, he's like, we're gonna have to make America great again. Like it's really bad. We're dealing with the worst it's ever been. Like, and like I said, nobody knows why they consider it the worst it's ever been right now, but they told that, so they believe it and they feel it in their heart.
Yeah, some of the
third-
funny
That's
videos
true.
I've
If I
seen
could-
are like
This,
those.
I'm about
Like,
to say this
on
is
the
the third
street
thing. You can
things.
respond to all of these.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this will be quick because I said a lot. The third thing is no one wants to take responsibility. Like you say that people should take responsibility for their actions.
No, I said they
There's-
won't have a choice.
I don't think- I think they
your
will.
action, I don't think you like. Okay. Because I said, when I think of this, like the ability to gauge with decisions made and how if you fuck up as a people enough, you kind of learn the error of your ways. And I think kind of what you were talking about with 9/11, with just war in general in America. The way I hear people my age and even y'all age, 'cause y'all not that much older than me, speak about war, I think is a direct result of a country that has been war riddled since its inception. Right? I don't think there's any American that is not somewhat in some way, shape, or form understand that like going to war is no small task, and they have a very good grasp on like the effects of it. That's because we're a country that is engaged in that enough to be like, okay, we can't just all be, all right, guys, we're patriots, we're gonna go shoot up a bunch of people. We have to understand that because we've done it enough. You understand what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I do completely understand that we all are people online and people that are probably more politically engaged than most folks, and the general pessimism that we might have towards other Americans, as many people, like Bam said, will say that Donald Trump was the best president. And if you ask them why, the answer will be fucking milkshake or something. But I do think there is an ability people have to have no choice but to gauge with the negative effects of their actions eventually.
But like the 9/11 is a great example of why I disagree with that. Like if you ask people like, oh, okay, like it would be one thing if they said like, oh yeah, we just never should have went to war in general. Like if they were an advocate of the 9/11 war at the time, they're not moving on that position. They're like, no, we should have went to war with Afghanistan. They don't even know where Afghanistan is, but we should have went to war with Afghanistan. We should have went to war with Iraq. Like we should have done all of these things. But their caveat is going to be, but we should have got out earlier though. Like I wouldn't have did it this way, but like I still stand by what I was saying. Like it didn't become a problem. Like it wasn't a bad thing until they decided that it was a bad thing. And past that point, it's not their responsibility for the thing that they started. They just said that like, oh yeah, we should have responded. We should have did it this way, and then we should have just got out, and it would have been fine. Everything would have been perfect. But like the president messed up, and he didn't do it the way that I actually expected him to do it. But yeah, I don't think that I think the humans are really terrible at taking responsibility for the action, especially if there's a. I mean, the president is one of the easiest people in the world to depend on. Like I'm not taking responsibility for my vote. I voted for you to do the thing that worked. I did the thing you said, yeah, but you didn't do it right. You didn't do it in the way that I would have. Like,
No,
Isn't that what the leader is? Isn't that what the leader is?
1 second, Dom, real quick. And
Yeah,
to
he was
Bam, to
campaigning to
that
be a
point,
leader.
then I guess I could say this definitively, right? Because you two do have me thinking. I would like there to be a social change as far as people viewing politics as this magical man through forces I had nothing to do with got in this position and did something I don't like. I wish people would understand that they have a hand to play at these things, right? And that people have a place in the people that represent them and the things that they do. And it leans more towards, okay, this happened. I didn't like it, but what did I do to cause this as a voter, as a participant in this collective community, as an American? That makes sense? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that
If
sounds
nothing
really
else,
healthy.
that people,
Yeah.
if nothing else, that people can look at this and say, like, again, like the best way to look at it, like George Collins said, these politicians suck because you suck. They came from American schools and American churches and American communities, and they did what Americans asked them to do. Maybe you should take a look in the mirror.
The
Very true.
They're not.
I want to step in a bit though, like, because like Trump became the president because he was able to speak to the people's hearts better than any other politician was able to, right? Like he wanted to be a leader. So when he came through, he was like an honest liar. He was coming through saying like, yeah, I do cheat on my taxes, just like you do, Hillary. Are you going to come out here and admit that too, right? Now, personally, I will caveat that I am on the center right. I'm not a fan of Trump. I can't do it with the military and God, right? He doesn't stand true to that. But
right, you one of them black
center right, yeah.
Yeah. Where y'all been at? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Yeah, I know. I know. No, I know. Yeah. I feel the same sentiment. There's like a lot of times they don't come into spaces and try to be polite or respectful, right? Especially when we have like Christ as our Lord and Savior. You know what I mean? They be acting wild.
The power of Christ, bro.
Not a huge fan of religion myself. In fact, I think that's a lot of the reason why we have a lot of the biggest issues that we have nowadays. The whole thing of people just believing the magic man who could do big things. It comes from the religious mindset of faith, where people will be like, "We'll just vote for this, and we'll vote for this, and have."
I don't want to go like in a religious
way.
debate.
He wants to go
uh,
down
no,
this
no,
track.
no,
Let him
no,
go.
no,
I'm
always
not
got
going- I'm not
smoke.
going-
That motherfucker started turning the wheel like, "Hey, Razor, bro.
I'm not
I
going
get you.
fully
I
into
feel
it,
you, but
I'm
not
just
that
saying,
way."
like, yeah, I'm not going fully into it, but like overall, I do. I always think like, especially with the Republicans Party and the voters, a majority of them are like religiously motivated, and they always have this magic man theory of the people that they vote in, to the damn point where they've literally built a goddamn shrine to the man, and he's currently coming out with a Trump Bible, like a Trump version of the Bible. That is how much he knows the right is religiously motivated. So it's a lot of that. I do believe a lot of the time people are stupid thanks to his generations of religion fucking over people's thought
okay,
process.
but hold on. I want to parlay what you're saying into away from religion, but like into
Yeah,
a
no,
wider
that's fine.
point, right? Because I think there's a wider point to what you're saying here. Where we don't have to go down religion equal bad, but we can do that another day, right? Because I like yelling at Bam about that. That's fun. But like the performative aspect of being a politician, right? Like what Trump is obviously not religious, right? Like I said before, he has no principles. He has nothing to stand on. A person, he only responds to incentives. And like our friend Razor was saying, is that he understands that there's a big evangelical base. And so what do? You do a performance for them. And then you get benefits as long as you as a performance is convincing enough, or at the very least does enough so that people can overlook your flaws, right? It's not even convincing, but he did the thing that I need to do to assuage my conscience, and now I can vote for him, right? Like Trump was a philanderer. Trump, a casino magnate. Trump, did like Trump grabbed him by the pussy. He did all these horrible things that a good Christian should feel otherwise. But he made the noises that need to be made. He assuaged their minds. And he said, "I'm gonna get rid of abortion." And so they voted for them, and they made excuses like, well, God makes use of imperfect vessels. But I don't want to just look at it from that perspective. Let's talk about fuck, now I'm blanking on his name. But he's one of the newer senators. His name is he's from Pennsylvania. God, how am I blanking on this motherfucker's name?
Oh, the like, is he like a big dude? bald
Big
head?
dude, like with a shaved head, or he had a stroke.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm about to tell you. John Fetterman.
John Fetterman. Thank you. Oh my god, I completely blanked.
Oh, yeah.
John Fetterman was he's a Democrat, and he ran from the left, and he wanted people to believe that he was progressive, right? If you see him, he makes a point of like never dressing in suits. Like he'll be wearing a hoodie and like these like jean shorts, right? And he'll be walking around the place. Yeah, it's like I'm just like comfortable, like I'm just like a regular guy type person, right? And I'm progressive, and I believe in such and such. Until he got into office, until the moment he got into office, and he has done everything he can to show that he is not progressive, that he is a standard corporate Democrat and a loyal corporate Democrat, and in this time of crisis in the Middle East, right, like a staunch supporter of Israel. His constituents have been very loud about disagreeing with him, especially like the people who voted for him, the people who fought for him, the people who campaigned for him. Right, you got a bunch of his literally people who worked on his campaign saying like, I deeply regret ever helping this individual, because he is absolutely not what I thought he was, but he was performative. And like, if you look into his background, this guy, right? Like I said, he never wears the suits for anything. And he drives around like a truck, right? That's part of his like persona that he did, right? But if you look into his background, he's actually rich as fuck. Like he comes from like a rich ass family, but he was like cosplaying as a regular motherfucker. The other one, Joe Manchin, did the same thing in West Virginia. He's also a Democrat, but like he made a big point in all his commercials. He'd be always wearing flannel, and he talked about like, oh, this is my truck, and I drive around in this truck. I'm just a regular guy like you and me. The dude's ahead of a multi-million mining industry, right? Like the mining interests. This guy is incredibly wealthy, and he's been his entire career he has been servicing his own interests, right? But he comes back to the voters and he does the performance, and so they send him right back. So like, what are you actually voting for in the end? You know? Sorry, that was a lot.
Yeah, I don't. I think
You're good. You're good.
I was about to say, speaking of performance, like not to like push back what you said, it's just like Trump was in Atlanta this weekend, or I guess like earlier on this week, and he bought black people some chicken, in Chick-fil-A, and we
They ate it up.
made a fool of ourselves. They was like hugging them. People was crying. They was like, I don't care what they say about you, Mr. Trump. You got my vote. And I was like, black people and chicken? Like, why can't we be better? Like, why? And he even threw up like the black power fist. Like, that's right. All you coloreds, all you black people, I got you chicken. I got you $12.93 Chick-fil-A. Like, you're welcome. Like, and that was all it cost. That was what we were worth. I don't know. That was just one of the craziest types of performances I've ever seen. Like,
I mean,
everything went out the window.
hold on, wait real quick, because I vividly remember this shit. When Joe Biden went to the hood and was going to black churches and eating grits and shrimp off of plates, paper plates at that. And I seen mad niggas okay with it. And I ain't like that shit. It pissed me off. It made me mad, bro.
Paper plates.
That bro, I ain't never
plates.
been so I can only say this amongst black people, y'all get this, but I hate niggas. And I don't hate niggas, but I hate niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
I
we
can't
know.
stand, bro. I look up and I be like, fam, somebody punch this white man. Somebody say someone don't let the ancestors die for this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So you
for
think
real,
like
I'm
grits?
in my no, Nick. Look, bro.
My president like grits. What can I tell
Look,
you?
bro. Look, fam. Look, fam.
I like
And
grits
that's
too.
and that's what you know. What's funny, man? Unironically, that's what
wild, yeah.
niggas said to me, bro. And I just shut the fuck up because I let the mob be the mob. I can't beat the mob. But I was just niggas was like, what? Maybe he really does like grits. Maybe he really fucks with that church's pastor. I'm like, you know what, Chief? You got it, bro. All right,
Fucking coat, bro.
Maybe
That's
he really
coat.
does walk around with the hot sauce everywhere, bro. Like, you never really know.
That's a fucking coat.
Somebody should check Hillary on that. Somebody should do it like just walk up to her like, Hillary. And you know what I would have? You know how much respect I would have for her if she was like, Hillary, you got the hot sauce on you, and she like just poke out the tip.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dang, she was
Well,
ready.
I-
You know what? F it. She
Yo,
laid
would
down
you
a
feel
little
like you
bit.
should have got your vote though?
She takes the cap off. It's a little crusty, so you know she been using.
Uh,
You know she
I actually
real.
don't like hot sauce. I think that's another terrible black stereotype. But I would.
You
You don't
Hot
like hot.
sauce?
You don't like hot sauce?
I don't like vinegar really. I like spicy food, but like hot sauce is usually vinegar based and it's gross.
once again, I trump Bam, right? I stand above him. I don't like hot sauce, spicy food, period. So yeah, I'm not into that at all.
No,
Perhaps I
I'm
do you one
the
better.
picky leader in the world. You don't have to be Trump tier. You may not like
You
spicy
definitely
food.
don't. I assure you don't.
Wait
We'll
a
have to talk
minute.
about this later.
Yeah, you're
Not
right.
even, not even,
But
not
I
even a
just don't
spicy
vote.
nugget. Not even a spicy nugget from Wendy's.
Fuck
bro?
no. Fuck
No,
no.
the spicy nuggets taste terrible.
Mm-mm.
See, I'm hungry now. bro.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
spicy
Sorry to
nuggets,
get you
spicy
off topic
tenders,
with
bro.
black people. You bring up hot sauce, and now
What?
I
What about,
promise
like,
you,
what about chili
I saw
seasoning, though?
Sambo about to jump out dancing on screen. Like,
I
we gotta
promise
do better.
you,
What about the chili
every-
powder though, bro? That ain't got no vinegar in
whatever-
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, chili powder's cool.
with every bit of like strength in my chest, I say the sentence, I can't stand you niggas at least once a month. And anything to do with black politics. At least once a month with some this black political shit. I say I hate black people, but I don't. I love y'all, but I hate niggas. You know what I
We know exactly what you mean. know exactly what you mean.
Like, you
You
saying
gotta
that
explain
frustration,
yourself here.
But
But go ahead.
it's
Sorry.
good to explain
Um,
though, right? Like it's good to say that to caveat it. Like, you know, I still appreciate y'all despite.
Yeah. So what direction were we going in this previously? We were saying that Bam was talking about like how people aren't dealing with the consequences of their actions. Yeah, I think this is really oblique, and I don't know the way to solve that for democracy, right? Like, I think there are a lot of inefficiencies in our system. So I was like trying to give you guys a list of them previously, right? Like who can even run for Congress? Well, we got a bunch of rules, and we have like a system that is extremely expensive, and so oftentimes it's people who already have wealth. And if that's the case, then you're limiting the amount of thought, right? If you're talking about the money class, well, the money class has certain interests that the non-money class doesn't, and so you're limiting your amount of choices right off the bat. Right, so a reform there is to make it so like government sponsored elections, and that like we provide money to candidates so that they can all get a chance to run. You know, like let's say if you manage to collect a certain amount of signatures, right? Well, then you get a level of government funding. You know, like things like that, right? It doesn't have to be that
Do you
ideal.
think do you think that
That's a good idea. That's a really
that's-
good idea.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
like is it like a principle thing, or do you think that would like make a tangible difference in the type of people who are elected?
I think it would make a tangible difference if like you, a blue collar worker, could get funding to run into your district and make your case right on somewhat even ground, and people could actually choose. I think eventually would make a tangible difference. But I don't think it's a panacea. To be very clear, I don't think it's a panacea. But
What's panacea mean? That's a big word.
panacea means like a cure all, right? That it solves all the problems.
That's a big word for Elmo.
Prime,
The only reason I was asking that is because like I believe there's probably like I in my head I imagine it playing out almost exactly how it does now. I think that people who would make good politicians probably are also good in whatever like aspect of work they do now that leads to them being some level of business owner, some level of lawyer, some level of like executive in some position of they've already found a position of authority in their personal life that leads people to having the mindset of like, oh, you would make a good politician. I don't think like some minimum wage worker, and I know that's like the opposite extreme, but I don't think some minimum wage worker is ever gonna like, some people are gonna look at them and like, you know what, you should have like say over this country. Like you got a good say.
Prime, is
Because,
this
like, having
any?
that money shows like a level of competency, right? A level of responsibility too. You know that if he has a lot of money, he might not like just completely throw it away, right? Like he's used to handling something that huge. So that's
No, a lot of.
I'm not saying every business person is a good politician, but I'm saying that most good
a lot of these
politicians
politicians
have
are
some
from
other good. They're good in some other aspect.
I
of their
hate
life.
everything
There-
that's being
a lot
said
of
here.
a lot of politicians are from like
fair enough. Fair enough.
so,
That's not
a
even
lot
true.
of fuck, what's the word I'm
So-
looking for here?
Most billionaires are first
the point-
generation.
Inheritance.
Oh my
Prime,
God.
can I ask you a question real quick?
Literally, sorry, hold on. Literally,
Okay.
the story last yesterday, that came out that Forbes is 30 like billionaires under 30 list, right? Like that new list. Not a single one of them is self-made. Not a single one of them. All of his generational wealth. Every single one of them.
Billionaires?
Billionaires.
It depends on what they consider as non-self-made. Like if a parent made six figures, because I'm about to say that I guarantee.
they're talking
I
about,
don't
like,
think one of them had a
they're
parent that
inher-
was a billionaire.
All of them. Look it up yourself.
I'm just gonna call cap without seeing it. I don't need
Okay,
to see
all
it.
right. How you do that?
There weren't 30 people with 30 parents that were 30 billionaires.
Yeah, actually, no. You don't. First of all, you're massively underestimating how many billionaires there are. Right. The speed of the creation of billionaires has increased rapidly, especially in China.
With
That's like a
inflation.
whole different story. But it's not even just inflation. But like it's the number of billionaires that have been created has increased. And yes, there are enough. In fact, that was like part of the
Damn.
story is that we saw this moment coming. Right, I remember like a decade or so ago, we were talking about the inheritance tax or the lack thereof. I forget the exact contours of the situation, but like they were saying that because of changes that were happening, there was going to be a lot of rich individuals who died, and a lot of wealth is going to be transferred. Like within like the next decade, a ton of transfer is going to happen, and very little of it's going to make its way to the public. And this is that moment right now that they were predicting. So but
Yeah,
we'll have to talk about.
actually send it, but yeah, I don't believe it on his face. I'm gonna go ahead and put my bias out there. Like I
Okay.
think that I think by not self-made means that they got some level of like parental help is how they're gonna classify this. I don't imagine it being like
I don't want to
these
fight
kids
you
didn't have
on
any
this one
jobs.
thing because I want to fight you on a whole bunch of other things. But before then, others wanted to jump in, and then later on, I'm gonna like tell why Bam is horrible and wrong and on everything. Go ahead.
I love it.
Now, Prime, I just wanted to ask you real quick, and it might be a stupid question. I don't know, but I want to know: would you accept like some sort of like a cap on financial contributions, or is it more so like, to me, it seems like it's the ethic of the money in politics at its core, and you wouldn't accept like us limiting how much politicians can accept in financial contribution. But I wanted to know instead of assuming or speculating.
Sorry, I was reading something. So could you repeat that? I apologize.
You're fine.
Getting
You're
ready
fine.
to whoop Bam's ass. He's citing sources.
I am.
He's diving in. He's reading the article.
Would you accept like a cap on financial
Some money in
contributions
politics, or
to?
is it ethically none? I'm sorry, I just sped up your thing.
Nah,
Is it-
Bam. Yeah, you got it, bro. You got it, Bam. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that there should be like? Do you think that like you can have some money in politics as long as you set a cap on it, or is your principal stance that there should be no money at all? Like it should all be state funded and like equal or similar?
How it is already, right?
What?
No.
Oh, how?
There is a cap on individual donations.
Yeah,
but the
individual.
total amount that can be donated to a thing isn't limited.
And you can give to dark money political organizations who can spend a limited amounts on your campaign, right? That's what senators.
The Tea Party. The Tea Party was formed that way, right? With like the Koch brothers and stuff like that.
Sorry, but let's not go.
All right, my bad,
No,
my
that's
bad.
fine.
Sorry, just yeah.
But the point is that so I had a debate with Destiny on this, and I think that I would want there to be like no money in politics, period, right? That like you show up whether you're a lawyer or if you're that minimum wage fast food restaurant worker or everyone, you get a certain number of people to sign a petition saying like, oh yeah, I like this person to run, right? You managed to do that, and then we fund you, and we go from there. Like everyone gets the same amount, and maybe we also subsidize like campaign ads, right? We do all things to get out the vote, get the message out.
Campaign manager.
All the
Like
political
lawyer stuff?
mechanisms. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then the voters decide. I would love it to be that way, but I can understand that money is like it's like gas, right? Like a fart.
Yeah.
It works its way everywhere. It just expands. It goes into the cracks.
Fire is interesting.
So yeah. So like I don't know if there is a way to get rid of all the money, right? Like so like if like
no, because you could have people, you could pay people to make to create petitions and to make signatures. Like you could, at some point, money can just fabricate people to create petitions to create signatures, right? At some point.
Yeah. I mean that's part of it. It was also like what if someone wants like, hey, I support I don't know, Bill Clinton is the first politician that came to mind, but I support Bill Clinton, and so I want him to win, and so I bought a TV ad spot, right? Should that not be allowed? Should other people not be able to do that?
That's kind of like what I'm. That's what I want to know.
Then it's probably going to have a moneyed interest on the other end who can do that most effectively, and so money has made its way in. Now we can limit those things, but should we necessarily ban them? I'm not sure we should necessarily ban them, but that means that inherently means that I'm letting in money at that point. You know?
Yeah. No, I see. You. So from what I understand, just the inception of money in the process. It automatically invites these uneven scales of power, basically, that skew the whole political system.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That makes sense.
Racer, do you want to say something?
I think he stepped away. Right.
Oh, sorry. I'm not. I'm reading up like I'm not looking at the.
I also think that, like, to add on what you're saying, Don. I think that there's the tough thing about taking money out completely is just from people like like sure we say there's money in politics, but like there's money in like these are like people's jobs. There's people who work in politics on the like election end. There's
Mhm.
people whose like whole like jobs and careers and livelihoods are like, oh, okay, election season's coming up. What politician wants me to work there for their campaign? You know,
Mm.
and they literally
So-
take bidding offers. Like, I mean, and it's on one hand it sounds effed up. It sounds like, oh, you're not just going to who inspires you, and it's like they say that like that's part of it, but it's also which
Yep.
got the check that's clearing. So
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like the
and-
payroll on it's like the payroll on a non-profit. It's like, what? Seems
Yeah.
kind of weird that, you know what I mean? You're getting paid, but you know, you got to pay people to
the
work.
issue,
You know?
I think the issue that we have when we were talking about money in politics, obviously, is almost that direct payment towards said politician, and then getting the ability to just call them and say, hey, you know that bill that's coming up? Remember when I gave you $100,000? Fucking vote no. That kind of stuff like that. That's what we're trying to get rid of. But like the idea
pro quo.
of taking money completely out of politics, yeah, quote quote. We can never fully prove it, but it's basically it's like one of the most well-known secrets out there that it literally is just what's happening. But then of course you can't just straight take money completely out of politics, because who's gonna pay the canvassers? Who's gonna pay for the spots to get your name out there? Who's gonna pay
True.
how are you gonna do it if you don't have money in it at all?
But
But if you are able to if we were able to somehow eliminate the money going directly to someone for that reasoning, and then also making sure that you have no direct line to the candidate, like that, I feel like that would be the best way to do it. You have to make sure that you would figure out a way to cut off direct contact with the politician that ran.
But I think the issue with
Okay.
that is you're still picking your, like you're still sorting out winners that way, because like either if you have a limited amount of money and you say that like past this amount of money, everyone else who helps out with your campaign must do so on a volunteer basis. Like I think you're essentially limiting.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you
you're
would,
limiting
right?
like you're limiting like the number of,
Right.
like maybe there are more people who legitimately want to support and want to like help out your campaign, but they can't afford to do so for free. Like so you're kind of like taking away from like in a weird turnaround, you're taking away from the will of the people. Like a politician that can bring in money has the ability to afford to pay more canvassers and more like campaign runners, whether that be on the media end, whether that be on the phone line end, whether that be on the door to door, the mailing. Like I've worked with a couple of through a couple of campaigns, and I was actually surprised how many people involved, like how many people in hands could be involved in like even like smaller scale campaigns, and how much money they were being paid. Because I was just like helping out, and I was like, wait a minute, you making $80,000 to do this? And it's like, yeah, because like some people are good at what they do. And yeah, I think that if you remove
But
that barrier and say that like, oh, okay, you have to work for free now if you're gonna do this. One, that sounds crazy. Well, it doesn't sound crazy because people do volunteer every day, but it's just like you're gonna narrow.
Well, let's
down the
take
quality.
Prime System, right? You have Prime System, right, where you have this pool of money that's provided by the federal government to basically buttress a campaign, right? What you do is you have people who it is a voluntary system, but maybe you get a tax break. Maybe you get a tax break because a federal tax break because the money that's being paid to these people is federal money as well. So you say, hey, we want to incentivize people to be involved in the political process. So what do? If they're involved in a political process that was approved by the federal government, then they get a tax break or they get some money or something.
I feel like tax breaks aren't worth it to anyone making less than like $500,000. I feel like income has just become more important.
Then a check. You get a fucking check, a stipend or some shit like that.
Yeah, I wasn't pushing back on you. I was just like, even a whole different issue.
So quickly, I put the Forbes list within the chat to prove Bam wrong. It's pretty easy
There's like
to do.
3,000 billionaires in the world right now.
But But in
Is
any
that a
case,
song?
so we can look that over, right? And then you can
2,700,
apologize to me
881.
later on the DMs. It's cool. But but I wanted to respond to what you had said earlier, Bam. That's what the thing that really pissed me off.
The thing that was correct.
Okay, hold on. Before I do that, I just saw this. I'm sure you typed this like a half hour ago, but I'm only just looking at it. I do apologize for it. Crazy for Coke. If you're here, they asked me a question. Where are the female guests that you tried so hard to keep around? My wife wants to know. Did you throwing your friends under the bus not work to keep the female around? Okay, that's fine. Oh, you mean from last week? Yeah. So like we've talked about this before, it's just like a hard, like, one, we do a weekly show, and it's hard to have guests, any guests, just period, no matter the gender, come on like every like week, right? Two, we're not a big platform, and we don't have a lot of women viewing, so it's hard to just find women. Three, it's difficult, not a lot of women like to participate in debate format. They exist out there, and the good ones are really, really good. But it's difficult. But anyway, all I'm saying is that we're kind of drawing from like a increasingly small pool. Now, in terms of our friend Zimmy last week, actually, she wants to come back on, but she's not going to be like an every week type. So we might see her, a few times, maybe once, maybe twice a month or something like that. If we're lucky, but it is what it is. The larger way to solve that is just to find more, right? But even then, when you're bringing on people, like some people just get burnt out, especially fighting back and forth like this. Not everyone is built for that, again, man or woman. But since like the pool is smaller of women who are here, then it's just harder to keep like a group of women, like to have a group of women to pull from. That is what it is. So I hope that answers your question. But okay, back to Bam.
I missed.
You were talking about how like said multiple things. One, that this blue collar worker, right? That compared to the white collar worker, well, that person is in a place of leadership, and people have more reason to believe in this individual than the blue collar person, and that like it must have been some sort of quality of the lawyer that they are a lawyer rather than anything else. So now they're in that position of respectability. They are well placed to become a politician. So I have big problems with this, especially because like it seems like you back the meritocracy, right? That like it's simply a matter of their effort as to why that one person ends up the lawyer and the other person ends up the fast food worker, right? Rather than a matter of circumstances. But beyond that, I would say that there are plenty of people who work menial jobs who have a brain on them. Their jobs don't reflect their capabilities in terms of the leadership or their rhetoric or anything like that. It's just where they happen to land in life. And those individuals absolutely have things to offer, but we tend to not know because we don't see them as leaders. I mean, they don't end up as leaders because of the system that we're talking about right now. So I would say that if the talented individuals, whether they be lawyer or like warehouse worker, if they were able to actually have a chance to present their ideas in front of the public, yeah, you would have a shift. And then beyond that, like you said, like, oh well, we wouldn't want a fast food worker to lead our country. In the end, sure, but that's not how that would go. What we would have is an individual who would start in their local politics and work their way up. It's like no one who isn't a politician, Oh, sorry, excuse me, I shouldn't say that because I'm wrong there. But it's very rare that a person who's not a politician gets a chance to become the leader of the country. Donald Trump managed to do it, but that's only because the world knew what he was. There was a lot of money that backed him to put him in that position. But the path to do that would be to get involved in national politics, make a name for yourself, mostly by being a senator. That puts you. That's like the best place to make it happen. And then making a run. But how do they get to that senator position? Right, a lot of senators don't start off as senators. Some do, but a lot of them don't. And they work their way up, maybe through the House of Representatives, or they were a governor previously, or whatever. But they've worked their way up. Give people the ability to get started on that path, and I think eventually you'd find a person who was originally a blue collar worker. Here's an example. Here's a perfect example. The head of the UAW, United Auto Workers group, right? He has been making big waves, because he led that successful strike against the big three automakers. He, blue collar guy, who became the head of his union and made a lot of smart political moves there, right? Led a brilliant successful strike, like got his name out in public. People like know who this, well, in the political sphere anyway, but they know who this guy is. He's making a name for himself. If he were to run for some political seat, right? Some people are saying he should just straight run for president. I'm not sure if he should try that yet. But if you were to run for like a governorship or in wherever state he happens to live, I think he'd have a solid chance, right? He's made a name for himself. That's a blue collar guy. Let's open the path for a person like him to make it. He's proven that he has the leadership the skills, that he has the know-how, the political, like he had President Biden at a rally with him, right? Like he's got pictures of him and Biden. Biden came down to support his plan that a lot of other unions didn't even support, right? He was like, you're being too audacious. But he bucked that trend and he won big. That guy is the guy I'm talking about.
Sure. Okay, find somebody in the chat real quick. AOC, like she said, she was a waitress at one point, but she didn't go from like waitress to congresswoman.
She did do a lot of
there was some steps in
volunteer
between
work
there.
and others. She did like a
Well, yeah.
volunteer work. She did,
But
like,
so like for Prime though,
For
like,
sure.
your
Wait,
system
but-
is pretty amazing, Jake. Like I've been thinking about it a lot. One thing I think it's good for taking money out of politics, right? It's a good step by limiting the amount of funds they have. Two, I think it's good to see if you could prove who's a good leader by limiting their campaign finances and getting the people to come in and do the work for them or with them, right? My thing is though, like if volunteers are allowed, then like won't super PACs still come in and then like pay the volunteers to go work for them instead?
If volunteers are allowed, I'm sorry, I don't understand this. Like, with like,
So you know how like super
But-
PACs come through, they get a bunch of money, and then
yeah.
oftentimes they front load the cost for that stuff too, right? So like, will we eliminate like
Mhm.
volunteers or donors or anything of the sort?
Well, right now, as far as I know, and as far as is legal, PACs can't like directly pay for like the campaign operations. They can raise money to like have like spend in like advertisements, right?
Yeah,
So whether
for
that be
things that they
TV
believe
ads,
in.
yeah, like sending out like leaflets and stuff like that, like mailers. They can do all of that, but not like directly pay for the campaign. Though like the wall between those two things it's kind of imaginary. But as far as I know, they couldn't directly pay for any campaign staffers.
Gotcha. Would they be able to pay for like door knockers? Would we be able to like, oh, we're gonna put people in the street, walk out there, and then support our campaign, like support our.
Oh, I see what you're saying, to like have a
Yeah, but-
parallel.
Yeah,
I think
a
they
lot of
might be able
canvassing
to.
efforts are a lot of canvassing efforts are technically like related to super PACs, like versus
Yeah.
like having a direct connection to the politician itself. Like groups like, oh yeah, like
Yeah, I think
Destiny technically ran a canvassing effort. And he
yeah,
got
I
canvassed
think you
to the
can
politician.
do that. You can have a pack that like runs a door knocking effort. Yeah, you can do
I
that.
think when I
Hmm.
ran, when I worked for a politician, I think I was directly connected to him, my local senator. And like he even came to one of our location to give like a little speech to all the canvassers. So
Yeah. You can definitely do something like that.
That can happen. Yeah.
But like I said, the point of what I was saying previously is that I don't know how to get rid of all money in politics, but we could like do a lot to even the field, right? Because it's tilted massively in favor of money and interest. We could do a lot to even that. And people, even if in this tilted field, you'll find individuals who don't take any super PAC money, who don't take money from high level donors, right? They don't do any of that, and they still win. It's extremely difficult to do, but like a path has been shown as to how you can make this happen. So like let's not make it so difficult.
I cried when AOC first won because that was a big win.
Yeah,
it was big.
So
I mean, even Ben put it in the chat though. She's not very effective as a politician.
okay, but that's a different thing. So let's deal with that later.
Oh,
but go ahead.
Yeah, don't run from the smoke. I needed to tell you.
Yeah, you were saying
why
something.
you were incorrect. Yeah, so what you responded to was like close to what I said.
Okay.
But like you changed it. Again, I didn't say that like the factory worker shouldn't be able to run. My original question was, do you think there's gonna create like a tangible change in the types of people who run and win, because they end up running and winning? Like not that like a fast food worker is incapable of doing something to run the country. I'm just saying that like basically people who are trying to figure out their day-to-day lives financially probably just don't generally have the interest in like, oh wow, I have the extra time and commitment to go run to like go to my local city hall, know everything that's going on politically, and also like participate in the country. Politics seems to be I mean, it shouldn't be a privilege because it affects everybody, but engaging in politics seems to be a privilege for people who like, oh, okay, I've found some success in this field. There's something I support in my community, and I have like it usually starts with money. People say like, oh, okay, I have the ability to fund this thing in my local city district, whatever. I know the mayor, I know the city council member, and we need to fix something with that street light. I can actually physically pay for it, and they get a taste for the change, and they say like, oh, okay, actually, I could probably do a little bit more. And like they kind of work their way into politics. Like even I understand you're talking about changing the system to bring in money, but like nowadays, like as the system currently exists, a lot of people say they're like, oh, okay, you want to run a campaign, like you don't fund all of it yourself, but you need to have some money to show for yourself whenever you go get approved for like donors and stuff. Like, I'm going to take you to parties, you're going to shake hands, meet people, blah blah blah. And you probably should have some background to show for yourself. Like,
yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have to go to parties with donors. I mean, that's part of the problem. Where
that was just the end of it. But yeah,
So
like I said, my point is that I didn't say that any of these people couldn't do these things. I'm just saying, like in practice, it's probably gonna end up being similar people that run.
That shouldn't. I mean, I think mostly it'll be individuals like that. I think I hear what you're saying. I think that mostly that politics will attract like white collar individuals rather than blue collar individuals for like a list of reasons. That doesn't mean there aren't those within that that sphere that want to run as well. But like like a lot of them don't have the time to do so. But part of it is our laws, right? Like it should be either that the government will help subsidize their them as they're running, right? Like if you are a person who falls below a certain level of income, well then you should get like a subsidy so that you can actually run this campaign, right? That you quit your job because this is going to be your full-time job now, and take a run at it. Again, this is a person who has met like also minimum threshold of like, here's a people who were signing my position. So not just anybody could just like, get like their rent paid for like a few months. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna ask. I was like, what would that threshold be? Because I imagine, would you want a difficult threshold to be able to run for office? Like, would you say that like you can't run until you get 10,000 people to like sign
Yeah,
on?
it might. Yeah, it might. There should be a high
Depending on
threshold
it would depend
to
on
be able to get on the
seat you're running for.
to get on the primary ballot. Yeah, there should be a like not like an entirely unreasonable threshold because there still is the primaries, and primaries are more important than the general election, which is what people don't understand, right? Primaries is where you actually have choice, right? Like look at where we are now with Donald Trump and
Joe Biden.
Biden, right? We didn't really have much of a primary with them. They didn't have like a viable
Opponents.
alternatives, and now Biden refused to even participate in the whole thing, and now we're stuck with Trump or Biden, conservative or slightly less conservative. Sorry, but in any case, that's
tried.
but like all right, but in
It's so fractured right now,
and
bro.
within the
Like,
primary
nobody wants-
system, that's where you have a choice, right? Like, do you want to get a bog
with
standard
your heart
Democrat
on
or like someone
primaries,
who,
vote with
more
your
liberal
brains
or
in
progressive, all that stuff? That's where that happens, and that's where most of the effort needs to be placed on.
But everyone is dumb. But everyone's dumb, and they always think like, no, we have to care. No, we only care about the general. Like they never.
I
think
wouldn't
that.
call them dumb. I just think like this is just how we've we
And
put the emphasis on
I'll
on this.
I'll
and-
rephrase that more to I'll rephrase that more people who are super into politics, who say they're into politics, but then they don't care about primaries. Yeah, they're stupid.
So we kind of like ran it. We didn't get to the actual topic. You guys would like to talk about Billy D. Williams now, or
Let's get to the next. Let's get
Nah,
to the-
sure. I
the blind
never
topic.
thought I'd hear Prime say that sentence, but yeah, what's up?
Yeah, let's get to the blind topic.
you want? I said talk about what did I say?
Billy D.
Yeah,
fucking
well,
Williams. Yeah, that's a.
Okay. Anyway,
Oh.
I thought this is one of your pause moments. I'm like, wait, did I say something weird?
No.
Wait, did you say do we want to get into Billy D. Williams? 'Cause
No,
that
I
way-
wasn't even.
Hey,
I wasn't
yo.
even- no Diddy. I wasn't even thinking like that.
No Diddy. No Diddy.
See, that's a thing now.
No comb.
Yo, how do? It's okay. Let me know.
All right. But before we do that, guys, if you've been enjoying the conversation, if you're at home, consider supporting the channel. Shout out to Razor, who's been resubbing for a whole year. I saw that earlier. I didn't get to shout you out though. Thank you, Razor, for supporting us for a full year. You've been you've been part of the channel. I think that's when you first showed up, anyway. For like a full year. So it's nice to have you here, friend. Yeah, thank you for being around. And if you're out there, consider resubbing, subbing, gifting bits, gifting subs, or using a super chat. If you're in YouTube land, consider helping out the channel. We can continue bringing you this content. All right. Topic, the only topic that I prepared. Billy D. Williams caused controversy when he recently said that white actors should be allowed to do blackface. Even though he lived through a time when this was used specifically to denigrate Black Americans, he said he found it amusing. Are there legitimate uses for blackface? Do you think art should be allowed to be transgressive when it insults wide swaths of the audience for their identity? When can we say art should be censored or that performances are harmful? So yeah, Billy Williams had an interview on like a Bill Maher's podcast. And he had this whole thing with him, whole discussion with him saying that, it's not so bad, blackface, that's cool. And obviously this had an explosion online. On one end, Billy Williams is a respected actor. He's done the thing and he's lived a long life and he lived it through like very harsh times. And he's managed to come out the other end of it, a household name, which so many of those black actors never had a chance to do so. So we did the thing, and so he happens to feel that blackface ain't a big deal. And his larger point is that just like an actor should just be able to do what they want. If you have a performance in you, then do the performance, and that should just be okay. So yeah, do you all agree with that sentiment? We'll start with Bam, work our way around.
Yeah, I thought that this position was actually pretty crazy. Like, I don't know. It comes from like this weird place of like maybe he's been a celebrity so long, like he's been famous so long that he just doesn't get it no more. Like he doesn't understand. Like, he's like, this stuff Can't Touch Me. I also feel like Morgan Freeman has the same issue, but um, yeah, no, I think that blackface is it's crazy to even have this conversation. Like, I think that you can deal with racist tropes as long as the joke is that like this is insane and this is bad. Like people always try to bring up like, oh man, we couldn't do Robert Downey Jr. couldn't get away with it today. I think he could get away with it today because the joke was that like this is an extremely insensitive character doing like doing something that's like racist.
That wasn't that what? Nah, bro, that wasn't the joke with Robert Downey Jr.
That was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this intro?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
was.
intro, but yeah.
My bad,
Regardless,
my
yeah,
bad.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Nope, I ain't going.
Okay,
Get it off.
They
Get it off,
really
man.
had Brandon T. Jackson in there. I mean, Brandon T. Jackson is a terrible representation for all black America. But
I
like,
can't eat, Kev. I can't eat.
you got the power to change that.
That was an L for so many reasons.
But yeah, if like Brandon T. Jackson stood in as like the representative of Black America and talked about kind of like kind of went through the movie like this nigga is really offensive right now, and he's just like this is okay, and like everybody else was like cheering him on, like we actually didn't hire a black actor, we let this Australian nigga be black, but the thing is like the parody was. I don't know. Either way, yeah, blackface is crazy. It shouldn't.
Not when he held him against his face, bro. 400 years.
They've been calling us that.
They've been calling us that. Do you understand? Like Robert Downey Jr. slapped him. That shit.
It's your turn. Right. You might as well go. Say your point.
I think that the thing with Robert Downey Jr. and the blackface is that I have trouble reconciling the fact that things can be funny and ultimately be like I can laugh at things that are harmful, right? I have to admit that as a human being. I've laughed at things that are harmful, but I can go back and say that was harmful and it should have been done differently. So I would think that that's allowed. I would think that that's allowed for me to be able to say that. And but not everybody believes that. People believe that if you laughed at something and if you enjoyed it, that you somehow co-sign it inherently. And the thing with Robert Downey Jr. is that, and this is why I kind of piped up with what Bam said, was because to me it wasn't about Robert Downey Jr.'s thing was not about like racism. To me, what Robert Downey Jr.'s thing was about was actors, right? Because the whole movie is about actors who were supposed to be in a war, like supposed to be acting as soldiers, actually getting put into the real life of the thing that they were portraying, right? And what Robert Downey Jr. is like a divergence from that, right? So there's like this formula that the director creates. And then he creates that formula, which is, okay, we have actors in a space where now they're forced to live the reality of that thing. And Robert Downey Jr. is like a microcosm of that, right? He's an actor who bleached, who not, it's not blackface what he does. That's permanent in the movie. So this is the idea is that this actor took it too far. He took the idea of blackface and acting too far, and this is a satirical lens on the sort of arrogance or the sort of disconnection from reality that actors tend to have about things like this. So I think this parallels to Lando Calrissian, right? I think it parallels to him in the sense that he is an actor. When he speaks about blackface, he's speaking about it from an artistic point of view. And we all know about the argument about the death of the artist, and that artists tend to have a different view on certain ethics of art, solely on the principle that the art should exist. And I'm not saying that Billy D. Williams is not. He's not really aware of the context of blackface, but I can understand how he would be like,
let actors do what they want to do. Jamie Foxx was on Joe Rogan, said the same thing. He said actors and comedians understand like a different level to which they can operate in these kind of controversial and basically edgelord spaces. So
I feel like
I
you
don't
asked
know.
the director of Tropic Thunder what they thought did, and you gave them your explanation. I feel like they would look at you and be like, "Nah, we just thought it was funny that Robert Downey Jr. did blackface." But that's cool if you've seen that.
I mean that too. Those two
I'm
things
sorry, it's
can
open,
coexist. No. You're
It was
right,
funny,
man.
though.
Those two, I laughed. That's why I said that in the beginning because I
Never go
laughed.
full
So
retard.
you know.
Let's
never
go
go
to
full
But that's
Razor.
that's it. Yeah.
The damn war hero.
Hold on. Give me a minute. Sorry, roommate. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry. Okay.
You
So
do.
with this whole thing with God, what was his name? Yeah,
Billy
Dee
D. fucking Williams.
I don't fucking know names. I'm bad. At
No, that's
names.
how you gotta. It's a meme. You have to know about it. My
Yeah, I
name is
don't know.
Billy D. fucking Williams.
I don't know names. Okay. But beside the point. So this whole thing with like thinking blackface is funny or whatever to him, whatever. Like, there's like this whole there's of course a thing where it's like people will say like there's there's always an exception to the rule kind of a thing, or the exception proves the rule, is that it is harmful, it is offensive, but of course there's always going to be that one random thing. There's always going to be that one random person that's like, I don't think it's that big of a deal, or I think it's actually funny. You're just kind of proving the rule that it is offensive because you seem to think that offensive things are funny, which understandable to some degree, because sometimes you gotta laugh off the pain of whatever's going on. For Billy D. Williams, I don't know if he's legitimate and like saying I just think it's funny, or if he's just knowing the history has become so desensitized to it that now it's just like whatever, I don't care. But we have a whole new generation of people who realize how bad it truly is, and yeah, it's probably also just being out of touch with modern generations that has him have that mindset. In the terms of like letting stuff like this happen, I don't think that I definitely don't think it should. I think most comedy, you don't need to go for the racial stereotypes that hard. You don't need to go for the offensive humor to that degree to be funny. In fact, it's funnier when you don't go near them. You can allude to them, but just never go near. Just don't actually touch them, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure tonight we're gonna hear with this topic, we're gonna hear a lot of jokes from everyone here that will be super borderline, but and it'll be funnier because we never touch the offensiveness, but you can tell it's there.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Harris.
I would say that I kind of have to agree with Billy D. Williams, actually. That like
Billy D. fucking Williams. No.
when it came out that Justin Trudeau
That's some
had
respect.
blackface, that was so hilarious to me because I knew that they were going to cook him for it, right? And he was going to have to dance, or he's going to be like, "Oh my god, wait, no, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you." But like, as a black person in today's society, I don't really care about the racism that much, right? Like South Park does it. Actually, just insert your favorite comedian, bro. Like they all do it. Everybody does it. But as long as they make it funny, then we're gonna be cool with it. It's like somebody on this panel famously always says, like, you're gonna get these jokes. So leave it to you, folks.
All right.
Okay. All right.
That's his saying.
You know, I always
Oh.
say that. If y'all don't know me, hi, I crack the most fucked up jokes you can imagine. If there's anyone that loves dark and edgy humor, it's Soulless. And my favorite phrase is, "You gonna get these goddamn jokes." But in the case of blackface, here's the thing about this. But we're not even talking about blackface right now. The idea of taking something fucked up and making it comedic is one thing, right? But unless Billy D. Williams was saying a white man, right? If we do another Martin Luther King biopic, a white man should cover his face in black tar and play Martin Luther King. We're not talking about blackface. We're talking about like comedy and art in general, right? Because what happened in Tropic Thunder, though fucking hilarious, and that full retard scene is one of my favorite scenes in the history of comedy. We're not even talking about blackface right now. Like, the real question would be, do y'all think it's okay, right now, right? With as much as you might love him or hate him, who's the hottest white actor out right now? Let me think. Henry Cavill? Henry Cavill just came to my mind. If Henry Cavill, dead ass,
Timothy Chalamet, that nigga right there.
Nigga, Boquin Phoenix, whoever the fuck. Point is, if a white man you know of covered their face in black tar and dead ass played a black person, would you be comfortable with that? Because that's blackface. This other shit is comedy. Like, unironically, no bullshitting. Like, dead ass. If they got on a fucking podium and did the whole "I Have a Dream" speech, seriously, would that bother you? And my answer is yes. I would be that would irritate the fuck out of me. Now, comedically, it's different, right? Like, I'm sorry, because I've had this conversation 1,000 times upon comedy. When you're making fun of the thing, you're not doing the thing. Therefore, we shouldn't call it the thing, because that's not the thing. That's literally not why blackface is offensive. Making fun of blackface is funny. Actually, really doing it, not so much.
Yeah. So you're saying, it's like satire, like, having the meta conversation about blackface and then making fun of it is cool.
Yeah, there wasn't a meta conversation about blackface. I saw Tropic Thunder years after everyone else did, but I didn't see it in theaters. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine. And he's like, "Oh, you haven't seen Tropic Thunder?" I'm like, "No, I never got around to that." He's like, "Oh, you just got it." So I did. And one, I didn't think it was funny. The whole movie was funny. I thought the movie was bad, actually. And I was expecting to look at RDJ in his performance, right? Like, I had known that was a thing that was going to happen. But everyone's telling me how amazingly hilarious like this is. It really wasn't to me, like, at all. I don't think they were doing any sort of highbrow making some highbrow point. I hear what our friend Solis is trying to say, right? When you're trying to satirize your thing, you're not necessarily doing the thing. I hear that. I don't think that's what Tropic Thunder was doing at all. I don't think they're doing it at all. It was a guy who was just like, yeah, I'm a actor. I'm doing blackface. I'm just doing blackface. This is what he's doing. And anyway, blackface was comedy, right? Like, that was involved in comedies and showed the ridiculousness of black individuals. Like at the time in the whole vaudeville era, that's like what that was. So like I don't give Tropic Thunder a pass. I think that was a disgusting low point for RDJ, who otherwise an actor I like and I respect him for that. But Tropic Thunder isn't the thing that people should be laying their hats on. Like there was no larger point being made about about I don't know fucking anything, like anything around that particular thing. There was no larger point. It was just like, hey, let's just do a lot of funny things with this aspect with this aspect of culture that we know is like super offensive, but like maybe we can just sneak it past everyone else.
Wait a minute, I disagree.
Well, hold on, I also disagree. Go ahead.
There's a difference between irony, like being highbrow. I didn't say it was like you have to like you.
I didn't say it had to be highbrow.
But I'm saying, but it's weird. It's absolutely irony. The joke was like what doing the thing would us not know that Robert Downey Jr. was supposed to be an Australian man, a white Australian man. That like the entire movie kept pointing to the fact that like you're not actually black. You're doing this thing. Like a blackface would be putting Robert Downey Jr. on camera, and Robert Downey Jr. is just a black man in this movie, and like nobody like questions that. Like they just
he's not a person from Australia. Like no, this is a real nigga.
No, I disagree with your definition of blackface. It doesn't have to be just that. Like you.
No, he was doing blackface, but I'm saying it's.
Well, oh yeah, okay.
Depending on Solis'
thing,
I'm saying that it's like, but we don't agree. Because he like that was the humor was that blackface is bad. Like this is what he's doing. This is super offensive. This is super bad.
And this is ridiculous. Yeah, like this is actually what he's doing is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Like
you might not have found it funny.
He
That's a
completely
completely
doing it,
different
but
thing.
he's joking about it, kind of thing.
Like when Gideon interviewed the leader of the KKK, right, and then everybody else started doing it too. Like, dude was surprisingly funny with it, right? And everybody was tuning in, and it's like, oh my god, like, oh, I thought this is the most racist town in America. Must not be that racist, right? They do. But if somebody packages the words nice, bro, then we just eat it up, and that's fine as long as it's not harmful. Because as soon as you start saying like, oh, okay, the purpose of my art is to offend you, then the people can then say fuck you, right? But when we say things like BET or even like Friday, would these things be racist because of how they play on black culture and how they make fun of it? But like just because they were born with the black faces, is that okay?
If you say I want to make a comedy like Friday and I wanted to portray what it's like growing up in South Central LA, and then shit that happens in South Central LA happens in it, I don't think this is at all to be compared to blackface. Because blackface is not.
You're talking about art.
Blackface is grabbing a white person, right? Well, it tend to be white. I guess it could be any race. And we're going to smear them a shade of black. Black people don't even exist in. Big red lips, y'all know the whole nine. I ain't gotta.
Yeah.
Y'all know it, right? And we're gonna make them be a black person. Not only are we gonna make them be a black person, we're gonna make them be the most exaggerated version of a black person we could possibly think of, right? I think that is high and away from some niggas from South Central LA wanted to make a movie about what it's like being a young nigga in South Central LA, and then they did it.
Yeah, and they made it a comedy.
Yeah, okay, which is fair. So what about BET though?
What about
like BET was proven harmful for the black community. How they would portray these black stereotypes and just put them on repeat, and then just have everybody come look at them and laugh at them. You know what I mean?
Give me an example.
The entire network.
Paris.
Black people aren't the joke, and like black
Yeah,
people
exactly.
being in comedy movies doesn't make black culture the joke. The closest thing you could argue with black culture being the joke would our best argument we have would probably be Boondocks, and even then it's like
they do it well. They actually have a point to their jokes and everything.
Yeah,
they do it well and respectfully, right?
They do it extremely respectfully. They do it in such a way that it has everything going. Hell, everyone knows
Thugnificent respectful. I didn't clock that as respectful.
Yeah, I don't
know about all that, bro.
But I think it's hilarious.
That's a reach.
it
wasn't respectful.
But just saying there being comedy movies about experiences black people have in the situation they come from isn't saying that black people themselves are like are something to be laughed at, or like I don't know if that's the point being made.
The problem is that in America, blackface has a certain like history that just makes it impossible to deny that when you use blackface in America in certain contexts, it's connected to that history. You know, everybody, we all know about the minstrel shows and how that was a big part of theater and all that stuff, right? So if we know that that's the truth,
we'll be out here praising it.
If we know that that's the truth about blackface, right? And then we really take a look at the individual examples of when blackface is used, we'll see the connections to the history. And that's going to tell us what we need to, how we can judge those uses of blackface. That's my opinion, because I kind of agree with the idea that, you know, blackface in and of itself is not what makes it wrong. It's the fact that when you use blackface in a majority of the context, it ends up being wrong. But
what world? Wait, I just want to know. Wait, Don, in what world? And I'm so dead ass about this. In what world is Boquan Phoenix playing Martin Luther King cool? Like that's some shit that if I dead ass like, yo, all right,
you intend to call this nigga Boquan? Is that intent? Like is that also part of the joke?
Yes, it's a part of the joke.
Okay,
it doesn't work. Nigga, it doesn't work if you say, shut up. Damn. Anyway,
I thought you knew this man's name was Boquan. My guy.
Because bro, it just sounds funny. Like, anyway, Don. Right?
I hear what you're saying. There's no world. But my thing is like, and I disagree with, and this is kind of like, I feel like Prime came out really heavy against Tropic Thunder, and I disagree with Prime on this. I think that Prime is not looking at it in terms of the way that the director and some of those concepts. The way, from what I heard from you, Prime, is that you think it's just whatever people are saying about this intricate or this artistic vision is basically cope, and it's really just it's just racist on its face.
I think that that's not true, and it's not true because in that movie, the fact that it's not a mistake that Ben Stiller has that conversation with Robert Downey Jr. about you never go full retard. That's not a mistake. Although it's funny as hell, that actually speaks to the artistic vision of that movie and what I said before about the fact that you have actors in the war that were supposed to be playing actors and ended up getting into a real fucking war. Is because you have these actors who are wrestling with the idea of being fully thrown into a role or not. And Robert Downey Jr. using blackface, right? What they're doing is they're making fun of Robert Downey Jr. for the fact that he basically tatted himself to become black in an effort to be the most fucking the ultimate method actor.
Bro,
That's
I just
that
can't
was the character
believe
he was playing, wasn't it? A guy who was who's the ultimate method actor, but that's
Yes.
also
That was the whole.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole point. Is it an excuse for racism? I don't know.
Wait, and I call
Yeah,
cap because
I-
I refuse
you know-
to believe that when Prime saw Tom Cruise in that fucking fat suit that he didn't chuckle a little bit. There's no
And-
way.
and I think
There's
that's-
no fucking way you didn't at least crack a grin.
I
So-
think that's
so,
where
like-
I think that's where the whole point of the difference is with it being a joke or trying to be offensive, is the fact that with the movie and him being in blackface or whatever, it was because Solus and everyone has already said it already. It was the movie already knew that it was an white Australian dude doing it because he was always getting too deep into it. Like it was meant to just be.
I
like,
was
the-
I was wondering the entire time where were the jokes. Like I had high expectations and I couldn't find them there. Like
probably also messaging
It was
about
crazy.
It's
how-
just-
Wait, you mean when dude was like, "Yo, this is Flaming Dragon"? You didn't laugh, not even a
Dude,
little bit, bro.
I don't remember the lines from a movie that I didn't
Wow,
like
it's
that I saw
crazy.
years
I have
ago.
yet-
I don't think it was a
Yeah.
great movie, personally. I don't stand.
And that's
on
why
that.
it was good. It was a good
I
bad
agree with
movie.
that.
That's what made it funny.
I haven't
Um,
watched it
So,
entirely.
so
myself.
I'm about to say not
I mean,
making a moral equivalence, but just pointing to like something else that kind of like I don't know. I don't even know necessarily how far we have to appeal to history related to these things. I think that there are things that are done tasteful or untasteful based on, again, if it's done in irony or not. Something that's someone who got away with a lot of whiteface, and again, not making a moral equivalence, is Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle will put that powder on his face and play up some version of a white guy with a bad wig.
Chips.
Yeah, like in the racial draft, and when they did the wife swap episode, like
Yeah.
the husband
Yeah.
swap, like it's
True.
you know, he did it all the time, and we laughed at it because obviously Dave Chappelle's not actually a white man. Like that was the point. This is that was the joke. That was the humor in it. If someone actually
well, obviously those other like those vaudeville actors weren't actually black. Well, actually some of them were black. Sometimes they actually forced black people to do the blackface as well. That's a different thing.
but the thing is, it wasn't supposed to be obvious.
But
that
most
was
of
their
them,
goal.
No, there wasn't. Oh, of course, no. It was obvious to the. Of course, they knew they weren't white. What are you talking
No,
about?
I'm not saying
So
they
weren't
didn't
black.
know. I said that wasn't the goal of the
Bless you.
creation. The goal of creation was just to not hire black people. But like their character they're playing wasn't in humor. Their character was supposed to be, this is a black person.
But it doesn't. That doesn't. You're trying to draw this distinction that actually doesn't really exist. You're
the
saying,
only
well,
thing that matters.
like they were making fun of the idea, right? And then you can just do whatever you want with the idea. Just do it, right? Just say, hey, I'm making fun of this thing. Well, I'm making fun of the of black people, or I'm making fun of the idea that I'm a black person or whatever. But what you're doing is the offensive thing, right there. Like what Robert RDJ did, that was the offensive thing. We didn't need him. It added nothing to the movie for him to do that. It added nothing. There was no like a larger point to him doing that, right? Like you have a collection.
So
of
are there any
actors.
racist jokes that you like?
was there.
Uh,
But
yeah,
can you think
sure,
of
you
any,
can just
like-
keep
About to
arguing that it
disagree
was,
on
but
art.
it
I was about
wasn't.
to
just
no, like, I'm curious, though.
You're asserting your
I'm not saying
opinion,
that
like
you
it's
can't have
fact.
racist jokes. Hold on, that's a different thing.
Well-
That's a completely different thing. I'm
Yeah,
saying
because I
that
feel like
the
I'm not trying to paint
blackface.
you nothing.
No,
But
I don't
sometimes
think you
it's-
are. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that you can't rely on racist jokes. I'm not saying that you should feel bad if you like Tropic Thunder. I mean, that's your business, right? It's a horrible movie, but like, it's your business if you like it. That's okay, right? I'm just saying that like there was nothing behind like
There was
that
though.
was
You
it
just
was-
didn't think it was funny. That,
No,
but
I don't. I don't care.
You
Hold on,
obviously
no.
understand what the joke was.
Don't give me that.
Yeah,
Don't give
yeah,
me that. Don't give me that because I work with people who I disagree with all the time, right? And I see their point of view. I see media. I intake media that I disagree with point of view, and I can understand it even though if I don't agree with it. Same thing with movies. Just because I didn't find it funny doesn't mean that I can't understand the themes of the movie. So don't tell me that. Right? I don't.
No,
give
I'm
a
saying,
fuck.
Well,
I'm saying
you
that,
can't
I'm saying
identify
that
the comedy,
you
though?
obviously, I'm gonna ask you again, and you're gonna agree with me because you do. You obviously understand that the joke of the movie. You obviously understood that the joke that we're getting across was that Robert Downey Jr. wasn't actually black. You understand that the movie sold you that premise. It was understood to everyone watching that like Robert Downey Jr. is not an actual black
Yes,
person.
and I don't think that excuses it. So there you go.
Exactly. So
Once
that's a
again-
different thing. But you understood the joke though. That was the point. You knew what
Yeah,
they
I'm
were
not
getting
saying.
across.
I'm saying just because you put it in the
Yeah.
within the context of a joke doesn't mean that you get carte blanche. Like just because you're like, oh, I structure this in a joke. Get it? He's not actually black, right? Doesn't mean that okay. Well, then the blackface is all right. That doesn't excuse it alone. I'm sorry. I think there's more to it than that. And just,
So
leave
I
it
don't
alone.
think it's just that he's not actually black, but more so
That
just because I'm trying to
blackface
find
is bad.
like this is what I'm saying is like when I saw Tropic Thunder, the first thing I thought was okay, you're going to put a white man playing a black person in a film, right? And we're going to make fun of that as he exaggeratedly tries to do so. Like that in and of itself, I don't see anything wrong. You are saying this is stupid, like this is dumb. And matter of fact, it's so dumb, we're gonna make him play it up the entire part. Even to the point where a black man looks at him and is like, yo, white man, stop doing this. It's fucking stupid. He's not even gonna break character then, right? Like I think that like you're like talking past each other. Because I want to speak for Bam. When Bam says like we let you know that he isn't black, that's to say we're making fun of a white man trying to do blackface. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Because
that's
the
crime
argument they're
saying,
making
like,
is the blackface is bad,
yeah.
and he looks ridiculous for attempting
Like,
it.
So like,
Like
you know,
again, you don't have to
something
you don't have to like that. You can
I
say that
get
even
the
still
themes.
I
Hold
don't
on, you keep
accept that.
saying, you keep telling me the themes over and over again. Like I can't understand them. No, I get that. They could have done the exact same thing in another manner, right? The point is, he won't break character. Okay, there's a lot of comedy within that, right? Like, what can we make this guy do? And like, what extreme situations can we put him in? And then he never breaks character, right? To the point that maybe like it endangers his life. There's a lot of funny to be had there. There was no larger point of having to do blackface to accomplish that goal, right?
But that
You
wasn't
can
the goal. The
method
goal was
act-
the blackface.
You can method act. You can method act a whole bunch of ridiculous
Yeah.
things.
It
Especially
wasn't
if
about method
you're
acting.
put
It
in a
was about blackface.
No,
But
but yo,
that's what you keep missing. You
my
can say you
Prime,
did it, but
trying to have
my
it both
dis-
ways.
Prime,
Yeah,
what you're saying to
no, he was
me,
method acting, but the joke was blackface is
I
bad.
get what the joke was.
No,
I
you
get
say
what the
because you
joke
don't
was.
because you think method acting was a joke.
nah,
You
No,
think not breaking
Bam,
character is a
Bam,
joke.
Bam,
The
Bam,
joke
hold
is
on, 'cause-
blackface is bad.
Yo, hold on. When I was saying to Prime and asking him questions about, do you believe there's a narrative here or something like that? I thought that Prime didn't think that there was like a larger, like an underlying theme or something like that. Clearly, he thinks there's a theme. He just thinks that using blackface, even if you have a solid theme, right, is unacceptable. It's the use of the blackface, right? So, I mean,
He can say that, but that's different than what he's saying now.
it just
he's
sounds
like-
like what he's
'Cause
saying.
He's
It's not-
saying that
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
he's-
that's kind of
he's-
what he's saying.
no, what he's saying now.
He's
and
saying no matter.
he'll
He
tell
says
me
he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the joke. He doesn't care about the narrative. He doesn't care about the underlying structure of blah 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 blah. You use blackface. You know what it
Yeah, he's
represents.
checked out.
It's wrong.
Well, he doesn't. In his head, he doesn't believe they're what in the larger narrative. He believes that like making fun of black people was the joke.
No. He doesn't believe the larger narrative excuses the use of blackface, right? Like he believes that you can tell that
Exactly.
narrative another way.
Can the nigga
Like,
can
you know,
folks talk for himself? He right there. I promise
No,
you.
he's not allowed to. I am the speaker. He will address me, but I will tell you what he thinks. No, I'm just
Prime would pipe up.
He's reading the
if we were
article
on.
right now, bro. I'll hit you with it.
I think there is a place with for blackface in art. I think you can make a larger point with that. But I don't think Tropic Thunder accomplished that goal. I think it's a high. I think the more offensive the thing that you're doing, right? The higher the bar to accomplish this, right? Like to actually make a point. I know this is an offensive thing, right? I get this is a problem, but I'm making a larger point. Now you can come away, you can agree with that point, disagree with that point, but you can understand that like it was integral to this piece of art that we do this thing, right? Like we're getting something important across, right? And like apparently the white people, I'm assuming they were white, so maybe I'm incorrect, but I'm just going to assume right now they're white. Apparently the white people who were behind Tropic Thunder thought that the world needed a lesson that blackface was bad. That was their lesson. Blackface is bad. Oh, okay, right. And so we're gonna have a guy do blackface, and then we're gonna let the world know, hey, in case you didn't know
This is
previously,
ridiculous.
blackface is bad, right?
You have to have a teacher lesson.
Yeah, actually,
but
I think it actually.
we live in a
then
time
what's the
where we
point?
know
Then literally,
blackface
what's
is
the
bad.
point? Then you're
We
just
know
doing the
blackface is
thing,
bad.
and then you're saying,
Because
well, it's a joke, right?
His point
Then
out
no,
is ridiculous, but it doesn't have to teach
No.
a lesson.
well, okay, no, okay. Sorry. Let me rephrase this. Art doesn't have to accomplish anything. It doesn't have to, right? But if I'm going to be asked to accept it, then I say yes. It has to have a lesson. Art can be whatever, right? I can draw a stick figure. That's art, guys. Accept my art, whatever. Sure, okay. But like, if we're going to say that, hey, is this art harmful? If society's going to look at this art and say it's harmful, or not harmful, I think it should be trying to speak to something, right? Like, we shouldn't shy away from simply being offensive. We can be offensive, right? Offensive to things that I hold dear. That's okay, right? You can do that. But like actually have a point to that, or else you're just being offensive. And let's not pretend you're doing anything otherwise, because it's bullshit.
Do you
I
feel
mean,
the
I
same
think
about white
Tropic
chicks?
Thunder
I mean, white
was
chicks is all
very
This is
educational.
just the thing about if you're gonna put art out into the world, you need to be ready for the most intense and critical criticisms that are gonna come your way. That's
If
you know what I
like,
mean.
So,
I
you'll
want
be
to
instructed to-
gauge with what Prime said about like they thought we needed this lesson.
Mm.
Do we?
Hmm.
Because I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to make a lesson out of something that people might deem obvious. Because I think people are like liable to forget. There's 1,001 things that people make fun of that I think is important to remind people of. Like, on the top, racism. That's something that a lot of people say is dumb as fuck for anybody to try to make a piece of art that reminds people that racism is really bad. But I do think
Yeah.
sometimes people need to remember, like, racism is bad. It's a bad thing. It happens fairly frequently. The history of it. These are things that people ought to be reminded of. And encapsulate that, you could put like blackface in it. But I don't think that it's fair to say that like we don't need that lesson. We just agreed a couple of minutes ago. People are pretty fucking stupid. They forget things and aren't engaged that much.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's all kinds
Yeah,
of stories that show a fair warning to people's ideas going too far. You know, we can't. You know, it's not strange that they would try and bring back an old topic that humans tend to maybe go off the rails with.
Right, like the joke is saying, like we all know this is bad, right? But like, if you don't
Okay,
know
so
this
we
is
already
bad, this
know
is
it's
why this is
bad.
bad.
Then great.
No.
But
if you don't know that this is
if
bad,
everyone already knows it's bad, even within the context of the movie, we already know it's. Then why do we have to do it? Then there was
Because
actually no
seeing
point
it-
in
Because
doing
people
it.
forget.
Because seeing
People
it
forget.
does.
Oh, okay, great, sure.
Do they not forget though? Like,
Sure.
No,
I
I
mean,
wouldn't
I-
say people forget. I think that people can know something exists, but not really know the visceral reality of it. And seeing it on film,
and it
especially,
didn't
helps
do
people.
that. And it didn't do that. It didn't do that. That
For you.
sorry,
No,
at
I
least
ain't gonna
my
lie.
For
opinion,
you,
sorry,
though,
my
Prime,
opinion,
that,
gonna
yeah,
lie.
yeah, of
opinion.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm saying no, because art is ultimately subjective. Of all people, I have to say that, right?
Sure.
But when
Yeah.
when a black man looked Robert Downey Jr.'s character in the face and said, "Knock this shit off," and he smacked him, gave him a dap, and started lecturing like an old black man, that's what nailed it home for me. I was like, "Yo, this motherfucker really trying to be black." That's what
you
nailed it home for
mean,
me.
you people.
Oh,
yeah.
bro,
Like if you
I don't
compare,
think that's
if
funny,
you
but like
compare,
if you compare what he was doing to how he was acting compared to like how a minstrel show blackface person would have been acting, it's night and day, to be honest.
It doesn't have to be a minstrel show. It doesn't.
No,
have to
but
be
what I'm saying is they used to the way they characterized black people was slow, stupid, aggressive, sexually deviant. Those were the factors, right? None of those things were present in Robert Downey Jr.'s method acting. If anything, he was acting like a fucking civil rights activist in that movie, right?
Because
the black person that he was portraying, right, was not a fucking bad black person, in my opinion.
Because I want to walk away with this, because I want to have at least a bit of understanding that we can all agree upon. We can all agree, though, that somebody waking up today, if Prime wakes up tomorrow and says he wants to factually play Cesar Chavez, right? He wants to go find paint and paint himself the same complexion of Cesar Chavez. We can all agree that him or any other person that is not, at bare minimum, Hispanic, I guess, doing that is a bit foolish, if nothing else, right? We can agree that that's a no-go. We probably shouldn't do that.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Probably
There's I agree, but like as black people, we've had these arguments before in the opposite direction about like some of our historical characters and how they can be any race. Now you shouldn't literally physically paint your race, but we don't have issues with race swapping, technically, at least with fictional characters. I'm saying that we go back to Little Mermaid
or fantasy characters with with history.
Yeah, I'm saying fictional.
What about Little Mermaid?
I'm saying that we're saying that people shouldn't like paint themselves a different color, but I don't think we have a hard stance as black people on race swapping. Now, don't get me wrong, generally I would want black people to create new characters, but I don't think that like Halle Bailey did anything wrong by playing Little Mermaid.
No, when that happened, when that happened, right, I was on the opposite side of niggas, as I sometimes find myself, and I said, leave white people shit alone. Because if I wake up tomorrow and they make a fucking Jewish Afro samurai, I'm slapping the shit out of everybody. Leave people shit alone. Because I'm be real with you, I'm not willing to make any of my favorite black characters any other race than black. If I wake up tomorrow and there's a Jewish Afro samurai, I was on their dead ancestors, I'm slapping niggas up.
That's fundamental to his character.
But Solus, you asked the question before, or at least you're putting out steam before, and I never got to respond to it. We were talking about, I'm guessing, Joaquin Phoenix. All right, I'm guessing.
Bo, no fun up. No, I'm playing.
All right, so you're on Joaquin Phoenix, and asking like, could he play Martin Luther King Jr.? I think he absolutely could. Absolutely could.
So,
I've said this before. I've said this many times before, not with specifically him, but like, I think it would be a fantastic movie, right? And I've been saying this. I said this on Destiny's channel because I'm trying to get someone somewhere to make this movie for me, right? I think it would be fantastic if we had like a march on like the Edmund Pettus Bridge like type thing, right? Like I like we had a movie like that where the races swapped, right? Like the marchers are all white, and we have black police officers beating down on them, and the audience gets to see black police officers sicking dogs on little white girls. I think this we have it's so hard for people. Hold on. Let me finish my point. We have people who have trouble empathizing with others in these situations, right? So to swap them, and that will help them see the horror of it. That's the power of art. This idea that we can't race swap, or we can't do something that's like out there and possibly offensive. No, actually, I think, and a lot of people are gonna be offended by even the thought of this, you know. But I think that art has the power to be transformative, and again, the reason why I'm saying is because there's a point to it, right? Not just hey, race swap MLK just for the fun of it, just for the fuck of it. No, because there's actually a point. It'll actually accomplish something there that can't be done by showing you another movie where you see black bodies being traumatized and victimized, right?
No, yes. You're saying artistic intention is incredibly important in everything. Yeah. Intention is one of the most important components of human interaction. You know who said that? Me, because I'm a fucking genius. But I agree with everything you just said. But no, No, but it is. No, seriously.
Uh-oh.
Why you do something can completely change how we view what it is that you're doing. True. And I
Yeah.
do think that if somebody
I-
wanted to make a race swapped like Selma movie and it was to show that for people who are having trouble empathizing with black people, that would be really artistically dope. What I'm saying is
So-
that, and we can even agree on this, when you just wake up one day and say, hey man, because the sky is blue, make it a nigga. No. Because if I wake up tomorrow and any of my favorite black characters is anything but black, I'm gonna be tight.
Burn that
Okay,
theater
so,
to the ground. It's making the white. Oh, my bad. Make your point, Razor. But Prime, check.
Yeah. So, when you mentioned the race swap of characters in fictional stories and stuff, you immediately reminded me of. I ended up buying I can't find the fourth one, but a 4 CD. No, I think it was like 12 actually. Fuck, it was a lot of CDs of a little series called Happily Ever After, fairy tales for every child. It was my favorite thing in the world. It basically took all of like the big well-known stories and turn them into different minorities of Black, Hispanic, Asian, stuff like that. Pinocchio, everything like that. And it was done in. So when you said the race swap stories for different characters is fine. It should be done more. It's been done a lot, and I don't know why right wingers creeped out about it when it came to Little Mermaid. I just want to get that little bit in there about it.
I mean, we've been doing race swapping since the beginning of when they wrote the King James Bible and they started painting Jesus to be white. Man, we've been doing race swapping.
Oh my god.
But
But like to Prime's
the
example,
thing that you
though,
guys were
like
just
isn't that
now
level of
speaking
race
about-
swapping like way too much? I think that's even worse
the
than
thing that you were
blackface.
just now talking about the
How?
AU stories, like alternate.
We're
the
talking about
alternate
like
universe
swapping
stories.
black people and white people, and then like the meaning behind that. Like you're swapping races and something that means something like so core to the black experience that it's like, well, damn, why would you switch that? You know what I mean? Like I think like that would. I feel like the whole generation would feel disrespected by that.
I
Yeah.
think that's ridiculous.
like
Hold
you-
on.
no, what you were just
One second.
mentioning
Hold on.
with the- with the
One second. Our friend Ika Rich, a real one, sent me something. I didn't get look at whatever Bam sent me, but like Ika Rich, he sent me a film from 1995 called White Man's Burden. And the quick Wikipedia a summary. It says White Man's Burden is a 1995 American drama film about racism set in an alternate America where the social and economic positions of black people and white people are reversed. The film was written by apparently a black person. His name is Desmond, so he's definitely black. And the film revolves around John Travolta playing Louis Pinnock, a white factory worker who kidnaps Theodis Thomas. Harry Belafonte, actually. Harry Belafonte. Anyway, apparently someone made the thing that I'm talking about. I actually want to check out this film. So, yeah.
Yeah, the alternate universe stories are always fun. Are always fun to watch. It's the one that I immediately comes to my mind whenever I hear about these kind of genres. It's not. It has nothing to do with race. It more has to do with sexual identity. There was this one short film I remember watching, where it was a world with where homosexuality was the norm and heterosexuality was taboo and stuff like that. Like the Bible even said, like there's breeding times, but you have to be like a man shall mate with man, woman shall lay with woman. Like no stuff like that. And it actually made me cry because it did have the message of a heterosexual girl killing herself because she was ostracized for being straight, just like how a lot of homosexual people are ostracized for being homosexual. It was visceral, and that's what most of these AU stories are supposed to be. They're supposed to be visceral. It's supposed to hit you. So with the movie that you just now said, where it's where the socioeconomical settings for black and white people were flipped. I'm pretty sure if I were to watch it, I would either cry or I would feel some kind of way. It's probably a visceral movie to a certain degree,
I'm saying,
and that's how I feel a lot of the times it should be.
My fellow Black Americans, I'm not speaking on making a white boys in the hood that takes place in the trailer parks to show how people who come from impoverished situations can face similar things. I'm talking about somebody changing the race of a character because the sky is blue. Because, well, why can't CJ be Mexican? I mean, why? But like, really, when we think about it, guys, why can't this character be this other race? Because reasons. That's what I'm talking about, right? Again, I do think the intention you have behind what you do does matter. I'm talking about when we race swap for seemingly no reason other than fuck it, I can.
I mean, but
I
if you
think
don't
that
give a
you-
reason, that's what they're gonna do, right? They're gonna do fuck that can. So it's like,
I think
Right.
that there's a unique reason as of why. Like, if one, I think when you're dealing with fictional characters, I think that you're allowed to tell different versions of stories. For whatever reason. Did this nigga leave?
Oh, shit.
Oh,
no,
I thought you
no.
disappeared, bro. I was like, I didn't ask these
Oh.
questions. So walk on.
Nigga bumped into the background, bro.
No.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm sorry.
Please
but,
clip that. That was funny. This nigga leave.
Yeah, man, what you talking about?
okay.
The race
What are you saying for? I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, I think that there's like, so one, like when it comes to like fictional things, I think that you have more freedom to tell stories in the way that you like to tell them, generally. Now, as far as things, especially when it comes to things related to children, I'm more open to the concept of race swapping generally, just because if you look back throughout, like when a lot of these stories were being created, they're just like black people just weren't part, or just other races in general weren't necessarily a part of the consideration up until a later part of like Disney princesses. Like, again, I don't have an issue with Halle Bailey getting Little Mermaid. It's crazy. They dropping a new like cartoon version and everybody gonna be black. Like the mama, the daddy, all the sisters, they just doing all black Little Mermaid now. But but I think
Oh, yeah,
that
the new kids
I would
show, yeah.
prefer with those specifically if they just keep adding, like they just create more black princesses, because the Disney princesses is one of the coolest things that exist. That they keep going culture by culture. You know, like you
Princess
can drop in a
Tiana is
movie
absolutely amazing.
based on someone with a unique background in history and culture, and you can then create the entire story and engage with it. And I love the Disney princesses as like even as a grown man. Like I think the Mulan is
Yeah, I
fantastic.
think
That's actually a really good point.
Tiana,
Yeah,
Tiana
okay, I see.
is based off of an actual like cook from New
They say
Orleans.
that.
yeah. So
Yeah, but you risk
I-
offending people pretty heavy, right?
no, but he's saying the opposite, right? He's saying he wants to expand the like the repertoire, right? Like where like Disney is drawing for its stories. And so that like you can have like maybe an African based, princess, right? Like, and that'd be, someone rather than race swapping, like actually like looking for African stories. And it's something that me and Doobie have been talking about for a long time. And I've been meaning to talk to DB about this in particular, but we've been talking about this in the context of video games. Like how many times, right? Or fuck, it's in any piece of media. But fucking how many times have you seen like the story of the Greek gods told, all right? Zeus and Hercules and whatever, right? Doing
Yeah,
the
even in
whatever.
Fortnite
Right?
now.
We are very much like we very much know like the Greek pantheon. That's like a well that they dip into constantly, right? And sometimes we get like the Japanese pantheon, which is also really interesting. But like these are like the few that we ever actually touch. But there's a whole bunch of other mythologies that we could go into. There's a game coming out soon, actually. That's actually about
Wukong?
one black culture. I don't know which one actually, but it's Zao. I believe it's ZAU. I think it's how it's spelled. But it looks like a really
you were
good, like a
gonna say-
platformer type game. I'm interested. I want to get it day one to support it, because the thing that you guys talking about, hey, like don't race swap. Instead, create new stories with black people. They're actually doing it. So let's actually support that. If that's the thing you
I
want,
will.
yeah.
But about to say, who? And the other thing is, I think that when things are done well, people don't ask these type of questions. like something that I've never heard anyone make like a big issue with is the muses in Hercules. Like we know that these people aren't actually like from these black
The
women
souls,
aren't
they're not
Roman,
actual soul sisters.
Roman that are like, you know, but they was like, hey, we got, you know, these 5 black women singing gospel throughout Hercules, and like everybody loves it because the music go hard. Like, is this correct? No, but this is good for children. Like, it doesn't really matter. So I'm okay with like children's stories making steps to be more representative. Like I said, specifically things like the Disney princess, it just doesn't seem necessary. We can tell.
But
we-
isn't that
if
an
I may
example
give-
of kind of this the stereotypical like black person? Like, you know, the only way that black people are represented in Hercules is the
Singing
you know
gospel.
singing gospel.
And it definitely
bother me, though.
It's definitely
It
It doesn't bother. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother you. But in the context of the entire, in the context of the entire film, it's kind of disproportionate in terms of, you know, an overall representation.
Well, I mean,
If I
so
may-
because with the
I mean, like,
muses
that's
and
their role,
Hercules,
right?
they were
They weren't more
muses
than-
for like the gods, basically. So if anything, the whole like I always, at least this is how I rationalize it. It's the fact that they are muses, like, you know, it's supposed to be for the gods. And if you know if you've known a lot of like black women in church, they act a lot like that.
If
That's
I
how it was for
may,
my life.
if I may put my foot in the ass of my community yet again, and say that when you niggas took to Twitter to argue over that Little Mermaid, I had to be a hotep for like a couple months straight and say, and I stand by this, if niggas would have had this energy for the fact that Little Mermaid, I'm sorry, not Little Mermaid, that Tiana was a fucking frog for most of the goddamn film. Niggas, if niggas was like, yo, man, they gave us a black princess, but they made her a fucking frog for most of the film. That's bullshit. I would have been with Nick. If niggas would have said, hey, bro, why the fuck is it when we went to Africa, we ain't get no goddamn princesses, we got animals? I would have felt niggas. I would have been with niggas. But on this one, Chief, I can't, bro. I can't.
That's
take it,
a
bro.
real
I
thing.
can't.
That, I mean, have we
Good
done
point.
that?
Yeah,
Because if we
okay.
don't, we should.
With the
For
Princess
some reason,
Tiana
we
thing-
always turn black people into things.
It's
I'm about to
that's
say,
the metric.
we turned-
With the
we had
Princess
the-
Tiana
we
thing,
turned
it's
the
part of
frog.
the culture.
We turned Will Smith did the thing where he was a spy. He turned into a bird. They
Pigeon.
did Soulless. He turned into Soul. They did like I
Osmosis
said,
Jones.
like
Osmosis
black
Jones,
people in
yeah.
animated things. We don't get even when we do black people in like animated things, we don't get to stay people long. And that's what's effed up. We're gonna get a Princess in the Frog movie, and we're gonna get a Frog
Damn.
movie.
Bam, do you feel me? Why I was mad at? Because I'm like, nigga, I don't want they shit. Ask them why when they made black people in Africa, in actual fucking in the cradle of civilization, we was lions and shit. There wasn't not a damn African in sight. I ain't see not a fucking villager. I ain't even see the starving African trait. It was all fucking animals. And then they gave us a black princess, and you niggas let it be a frog to yell about not being Little Mermaid, bro. I hate niggas, G.
And if you want to be
do.
honest, the only one in Lion King that was actually a nigga was the monkey.
Oh my god.
If you want to be honest,
Fuck
Simba's
is
not
you
a
talking
black
about?
man.
Baboon. He was
Hey, you go
baboon.
full retard right now.
Baboon.
Bam, I'm gonna beat ya.
Ain't no way, bro.
So you who else
Come
was
on,
black? in that
Mufasa
movie?
wasn't a nigga.
Oh my
You
god.
think Mufasa was a nigga?
Yeah,
I know his
you're
voice.
right. You're right. Because that's disrespectful. He wasn't a nigga. He
Wasn't
was
it
an
literally?
OG.
Wasn't it literally James?
God.
Didn't James
If you
Earl
call-
Jones
if you call
literally voice
Mufasa a nigga, he
Mufasa?
would grab you by the back of your neck and slap your
Bro,
shit.
I'm a fuck man.
No,
That was the
Mufasa
funniest. That was
definitely
good.
was.
That was funny. That was
Nala,
hilarious.
yeah.
That was a good
Crazy
one.
yeah, Nala too. Nala was definitely.
No,
No,
it's not
no,
a-
no,
not
to
not
that
there,
point,
no.
hold on. To that point, bro. And another reason I think people need to make original black characters, because niggas actually do this commonly, where we associate people who are not black and just say, "Ha, they're black." I think that's
Nigga,
how
what else do
desperate
we
niggas are.
got? What else do we got, bro?
That's my point. We need more.
Yeah, we all-
No,
Z,
Drake
what do you
fucking
consider?
Those
the amount of
true.
niggas that
Yeah,
tell
we
me
do that.
Namekians is black is ridiculous. Okay,
Yeah, thank
Don't
you.
do it. Don't
Thank
start
you.
it. Don't
Bro.
start.
Bro,
But it's
I get
true
it.
though.
I get
You
it.
can
I
tell.
get it. I get
I
it.
know
You
what
saw a
you're saying.
tall,
Was a
buff,
black
bald
father, and I
motherfucker
will
who was a
die
dark
on that
color,
hill.
and you said he's black. He's not black. He's literally a bro. Can we just need our own characters? We ain't got to do this shit, y'all. We ain't got to fight him on
Oh
Piccolo
my
was a
God,
black
Soulless,
father, and I will
once
die on
again.
that hill. He was black coded.
Soulless is a fucking
So black
truth
Cody, bro.
teller.
Him taking care of
I
Gohan, that
love
whole
it.
arc.
What
I
the
love
fuck?
it.
Him
You
being
hear
the
that,
father that wanted to
Bam?
be here.
You hear
Him
that?
being disgruntled
You
about it.
hear
So like,
that,
I'm gonna raise
Bam?
this little motherfucker.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna raise this
Okay,
little shit.
I
Niggas-
accepted. I
niggas told
accepted
me-
Piccolo, but I'm not accepting Skeeter. Skeeter's a black man.
Who's Skeeter?
Skeeter Valentine for Doug. It's
Doug,
probably
man.
before your time.
Doug,
Before my
Doug, man. And
Niggas
that-
told
he's a-
me
he is a
Knuckles-
nigga. He is
Niggas
a
told
nigga,
me that
correct.
Knuckles was black, and I was just like, fam,
Oh, he is
no.
Like, if anybody
He
was
has
doing
dreads.
Shadow,
He has
not
dreads, bro. He
Yeah.
got dreads.
The
He's a
tribe
fucking
he
He got
human
dreads.
animal. It's
He
not,
got
it's,
dreads.
bro.
The nigga got dreads, bro.
You have dreads,
So-
you got dreads.
Like,
So
this
what
is how
about-
starved we are.
Hold
What
on.
about like the what was it that Nintendo shooter with the Squid Kids, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay.
That dude that
Splatoon, right?
Splatoon, thank you. Yeah, right.
yeah.
Well, they
Yeah,
all
yeah.
had dreads. Like the
Yep.
tentacles hanging down. Like, are they all
Yep.
black? Were they all black?
No, no,
Did
they
that
are.
not count?
No, no,
That
Wait,
part
those
did
are
not
the
count.
Octo-
When they
those are the
tentacles.
Those are the Octurians. Those
Yeah,
are-
yeah,
if you
got you.
niggas-
But like, are they black?
Yeah,
Are they black?
the
Of
niggas.
course
No.
not. That's why none of that shit makes any sense. But in any
If
case,
you-
I put you go ahead, Solus.
If y'all niggas like go fight for Katara to be black. There's some battlefields we have maybe a foot to stand on, right?
Katara?
But this shit,
Katara
go
is
look at a
black.
picture of Qatar.
Katara,
Katara and Zuko
wait a minute,
is
you
black.
talking about
What are you talking
the snow bit, the North Pole,
Wait,
the
From
absolute.
from
From
the
the
southern
The
Avatar.
Inuits, bro. What you
From the
mean?
Avatar.
Katara
Yes.
is absolutely like, was it Pacific
She's an
Islander?
Eskimo.
What? She's an Eskimo. Yeah.
My point being is,
Hey,
when
Hey, don't come
niggas-
for the water tribe like that, nigga. Hey, hold
no,
on. You
shout out
talking
to the
that
Wobber tribe. Shout out to them.
Yeah,
Point
yeah.
being is that when niggas fight, we fight on these battlegrounds of yo, Knuckles is black, Piccolo is black, and it don't even
No.
be people. It just be oh, this nigga's violent and he has a
Soulless,
deep voice. He's black.
that's disingenuous, man. They're not saying that they're black. They're saying
No,
that
hey yo, fam,
No,
the
they're
niggas
saying that
told me
he-
Piccolo
definitely
was
tell.
black. Not,
They
Bro,
say
you can
he's a-
definitely tell that black people were the inspiration for the shit. Just like in Star Trek with the
Bro.
Klingons, right? They were like, oh, okay, well then this is
bro. You know what I thought when I saw Piccolo? I thought Batman. I thought of a really, 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 really dark motherfucker that does dark shit. I did not think to myself, oh, he's tall, muscly, bald, black. Gotta be. No.
really.
I
Are
didn't
you
do that.
serious?
No.
Even
No.
even in the Dragon Ball
Nigga,
Ball Z
he's
episode when he got
green.
the cap
No, I lied. You know what else I
backwards
thought about? I thought
in the driving episode.
You know how bad this sounds? If this was all black, if this was all white people, he put his hat backwards. He must be black.
Bro,
That's
I
all
thought
indeed,
with
for
the
sure.
with the fucking hat with Piccolo.
Maybe
I thought
I'm the racist.
I
Then,
thought
I guess.
Piccolo was like a Muslim or some shit, or
Yeah, he's
allusion
definitely
to like
definitely
Islam
like Indian
or something.
Yeah,
Like, bro.
That's what the fuck I thought.
He's
He
definitely
wasn't
a
like-
Whoa, you saw
alien.
him meditating once in the desert. Now you saying he's Muslim? dude?
No, I'm just saying
No,
with the
it has to-
turban.
it
No,
has to
like no,
do
with this shit.
100%. Like
Like,
think Dulcim from Street Fighter, the stretchy arms and everything. Like
Yeah, another offensive one, but like yeah, like but in any case, one I put for the audience, I put Zhao in the I think that's how you pronounce it. I put the trailer in the sorry, the Twitch audience. I put it in the chat, right? So you can click on it, check it out, so we can see what I'm talking about. It'll be coming out soon. And I
looks
put it
good.
for you guys in the group DM. Yeah, like check, like that's if you guys not looking for race swaps. Oh, so I didn't put it in the chat for you. Let me do that now. If you guys are looking for non-race swaps, then do it there. I put it in my group DM. That's where I did.
No, I would. No,
Nice.
I definitely support this shit because I genuinely do wish people would make more black shit and leave
Look
other
into that.
people shit alone.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Actually.
Can I take
Looks
a
like a Metroidvania.
Can I tell a quick
Wait,
little
is this a
like
2D
anecdote
animated
real
game?
quick?
Yeah, sure, but no one's gonna shoot you. What's up?
All right.
Man.
So I was listening to another content creator, right? They were talking about the effects of blackface, the effects that it has on other people from other countries, right? And they were because you were talking about anime, right? So I want to bring up the story. At one point, Japan, right, wasn't trading with America, and then I guess it was something happened where we sent people over to Japan to try and negotiate some sort of trade agreement. We started trading with Japan, and then subsequently what happens is the culture gets spilled over, right? And America is a huge cultural juggernaut, and we're super influential across the world.
Word.
And one of the things that I think is detrimental about blackface, and just the idea that we are I want to kind of come to Prime's point, where like the idea that we just kind of because because it has this effect, this artistic thing, or we're just gonna carte blanche allow blackface, right? And it's like this does have deleterious effects, like, to black people in America, allowing these things to be allowed. Because what happens is, and in the case of Japan, is if you have it so that blackface is allowed, something like Robert Downey Jr., you have that transmitted to a culture that doesn't understand the context in which it exists. And an example of a repercussion of that was Japan, right? Japan in its early history of gaining American culture had a lot of issues of blackface. They had it was like a dachan or danchan or something like that, where it was literally the typical blackface, big lips. And they even had dolls made out of this, where the Japanese people would carry these dolls around in society, and it was like a form of like almost artistic expression to have this essentially blackface baby doll on your arm. And I think that if we are not careful with the way that we allow blackface and stuff, and even talk about it, other cultures cannot understand the context, and they'll just basically kind of. They might think it's cute or funny, and not really, and they'll just run with it, which is what Japan did at one point.
I don't know if I'm
Yeah, but Japan was high-key
I
racist to
think
begin with,
in
right?
Scandinavia, they also have like culture. They also have like a cultural thing.
They were racist, but
think
You're talking
not
about
in that. They were
Yeah,
racist, but they were racist
they-
against other Asians. They weren't like, it wasn't like.
No,
I
I
mean,
no, I
yeah,
remember because I don't remember entirely what it was. But like
You're
I
talking
remember
about
like,
Sword to
something
Pete.
about blackface. I remember there was like a blackface cultural custom they did before, that they've done or that they still have, where people do blackface in the streets, but it's I can't remember if it was Switzerland, Netherlands, something like that. Fuck, it was one of the Scandinavian countries. It literally is part of their culture, is what blackface is. It has nothing really to do with black people. What's your thoughts on that though?
So you're talking about
if
Sword to
you
Pete, right? And that's their
fucking-
version of Santa Claus, basically.
I
So
was
like
just
the
about to
dude
say-
comes through, he's giving gifts, and his helpers go down the chimney, and then they turn pitch black because of the soot. So nowadays they're saying like, oh, well, this is blackface, and then
Yeah,
I mean,
Nah.
it is
Yeah,
blackface. It is blackface. The question is it?
context.
Are we gonna call it?
Wait. Again, I have to do this because we have to run it back. If you do something, and your explanation is what Parrish just said, you still, even regardless of that, you still consider it blackface?
No, Solus. Blackface is just a mechanism. It's just a mechanism. It's a thing you do. It's when you paint yourself, or when you try to take the appearance of a black person as not
Yeah,
being
What if you're not
black.
trying to take the appearance of a black person, but take the appearance of somebody whose face is covered in soot?
Nah,
Yeah.
they taking the appearance of a black person.
No. Because hold on.
they-
In Razor's example,
this is-
I
this
know
is-
what Razor's talking about. I've spent a lot of time in Spain. There are Catholic rituals where there is people dress in blackface because this is connected to one of the three kings or some shit like that, right? What they're doing is they're trying to emulate somebody from
Yeah,
the
Black
Middle
Pete.
East or somebody, right? It's a thing. And it's blackface.
And
but
beyond that, and you can see the intentions of how it actually plays out, right? Like, so I hear you. Like, the backstory isn't like, oh, it's a black guy. No, he's just covered in soot, right? But like, in the Netherlands, right? It's in Netherlands, I'm pretty sure. In the Netherlands,
Yeah, it's Netherlands. I looked into it.
yeah. Like little kids, like, because there are black people in the Netherlands, right? Little white kids will make fun of black kids, saying, "Oh, Black Pete, Black Pete." They'll be pointing at them. Hey, that's Black
Yeah,
Pete.
yeah.
They will
Look, mommy, look.
yeah. And they'll like make like dress up as him as Black Pete, and then like directly make fun of black people. Like, this has been an ongoing thing. It's been a big fight within the culture. Like, what are we gonna do about this shit? And they nearly got rid of it before, but like was a court case, lots of shit happened. Anyway, but so I'm saying that like you can make up any sort of a backstory you want, but like kids can see what it is. they get it. They look at it and they're like, yeah, oh, I get to make fun of these other people. They're like, this is you. This is like, hey, little black boy or little black girl, that's you over there, right? So yeah. But anyway, but
Why the fuck do they have an afro? And I'm really cool. Yeah, no, this
No,
don't
Black
look.
Pete's actually blackface. I'm about to say they're
Yeah.
it's because the chimney
Yeah.
cleaners were Moors. That was the point. They're black people. Like they say like, oh, it's just a white person comes and sit. No, they got the red lips, they got the afro because they were based on black people. It's black
I was just about to say. I'm like, bro, why the
These
fuck
are
they
the
got
first two images I saw. These are the first
because they're
two images I saw.
servants. That's who chimney cleaners are.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
servants.
Because
Like,
I'm definitely like,
helpers,
okay,
should I say.
I see the
What's it
dark
called?
skin, but the
Smart-
red lips and
smart
afro
Pete.
kind of.
Oh, that's Pete.
yeah, they do the.
And
And you
red
can
lips.
see, and you can see,
I don't really
you
know.
can see a lot of these different versions of blackface across a lot of Western cultures, and that's just
Yeah.
the truth.
So we'll leave it there. Hey guys, thanks all for being here. Really support, really appreciate the ones who've come through. Consider supporting the channel, sub to the channel, give subs. You want to see more of this in the future. I'll give a outro to all the great individuals here. Bam, thanks for coming through and being part of all this.
Thanks for having me as always. Something else I was gonna say. I don't remember.
That was definitely
Just-
right. You were definitely wrong. Yeah, that's fair enough.
No, that's never happened. I won again. I don't know how many weeks I've been on here. 26 months. 26 months ago. Do the math.
Is it undefeated?
I am.
Undefeated.
But thanks for having me.
Week
He
by
says that, but I showed up eventually, so
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's 2 years and 2 months. Is that the math that you needed to someone to do for you?
Well, I wanted to do I was gonna do the weekly, and because I was like, I hadn't been know the exact weeks, but I was just gonna round up, so I just did 26 months, and I've been kicking ass every one of them.
Nothing more of that. Okay. Anyway, Don Champloo, thank you also for coming through. This is a lively discussion.
I had a lot of fun today. I think that the topic of blackface is super complicated because it really ties into what is so complicated about judging art in general and saying, is art good or bad? Is it healthy for society? Is it not? So obviously there's going to be a lot of contention and debate. I had fun. We all did great. Prime, thanks for having me again. People, sub to the channel because we all putting in that work, and you know what I'm saying? Just keep it going.
Absolutely.
Yup.
Next we have Razor. Sorry. Razor. Thank you for coming through. Always being a great part of this community.
no problem. Like always, I'm always up for conversations on multiple, if not any topic. It definitely helps me to gather my thoughts, help me to learn a little bit more about the world, breaking out of the many years of which I was a sheltered little grandma's boy. I will fully admit that I was. And being able to do this, talk to everyone, learn new things, definitely helps me. So win or lose with any debates I have, I still win because I learned something new.
That's fantastic. Thanks for
The
being
toxicity hasn't got to you yet. Give it some time.
here.
Hey, every other's a lesson.
Paris, thank you for coming through. It's nice having you.
Dang, I appreciate you. I appreciate the conversation. It was very interesting to see the different perspectives on things, right? Like, your plan when it came to getting money out of politics, I think that's genius. I think that, like, if people have these ideas, that I hope they take them and then go put them out into the world. You know what I mean? Hope we can be, like, more accepting of other people's ideals. But I think we might also have to be more accepting of people's failures, too. Right? Because, like, every L is a lesson. So I think we can learn from that. But
All right.
if anybody wants to check out more content, I'll be on the Progressive Gamers podcast talking about video games and industry stuff. But
Love to see it. Yeah, let's go out and support. Last but not least, we have our friend Solus, who I'm very happy came through. I always enjoy my talks with Solus. No matter what sides of the issue we're on, he's going to say something real interesting. So thanks so much, bud.
I wanted to end on a funny story that I could only tell y'all because y'all won't cancel me. So I was talking to a lady about the Second Amendment. I'm from Chicago. I like guns. And she was telling me that she's in the market for a new firearm, right? And she was going on this whole spiel about the situations in which she thinks and why she needs one. And one of them, she said, she's like, Soulless, what if a group of men kick in my door, right? And they're trying to harm me. They got a bunch of rope and ribbed condoms and they're ready to fuck me up. And she wanted this long spiel about that's why the reason she wants to get a gun. And all I could take away from that after she was done talking was ribbed condoms?
That's what my
Ribbed
mom
for
was.
her?
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm thinking too, bro.
It's a fantasy.
I'm like, hey,
Niggas looked at me so
in my
crazy
mind,
because I was like, that's all bro, you ever not want to be a nigga? I'm like, ribbed for her pleasure? Like, why the fuck would they? And then motherfuckers was on my ass about it, but I was like,
bro.
and I ain't had no niggas around me because I wanted to ask. He's like, bro, I know I'm not the only one that was like, bro, rip. Because that's kind of a nice guy. If you really
Imagine
think
I'm picking it out at the store, like to get the rope is like, hey man, you gotta get some rubbers, first. Like you right,
Bro,
You pick up some, like wait man, get the rib joint.
The rib joints for
That's
her. For her.
Think about it,
Bro, that's
the least we can do.
the only reason I'm even saying that because that's why. That's what I want to say. Because y'all will get it. Niggas understand why that was fucking funny.
Did you get a gun?
Yeah, you should get it.
No, she opted for I think it was a knife or something, like a machete or some shit.
Okay, sure. All right.
Shit.
Anyway, I'm gonna set you guys off to I don't know, this woman came up on my list. A Blood Glow. She says a hotline doing philosophy lectures and music. She looks black, so that's good enough.
She looks black.
She looks black,
Good enough
so I'm gonna
for
send you
Good
guys
enough.
off.
Resist, fellas, resist.
Yeah, let's go support a black individual. Pretty sure she's black. And